Should we discuss a bit GMAT structure, how the exam is structured? So this entire exam consists of 800 GMAT score, guys. And there are two main sections to it. You have one quant section and you have one verbal section. So this consists of 800 GMAT score. The total score for quant is 400. The total score for verbal is 400. There are two other sections called AWA and IR. So AWA, it's essentially a essay writing section, but technically it's not even an essay writing section. It's all about you need to write down your opinion. So there is an argument given to you. You need to read that particular argument. And based on reading that argument, you need to put down your opinion in 4 paragraphs. In one paragraph, you try and strengthen the argument. In one paragraph, you try and weaken the argument. In one paragraph, you need to evaluate the argument. In one paragraph, you need to give your own assumptions to the argument. So AWA sections can be taken if your preparation of verbal is very good, because in verbal, there are 3 sections that we prepare for. One is sentence correction, other is critical reasoning and reading comprehension. In critical reasoning, what happens, guys, you exactly get to understand what the argument means. And after reading the argument, you will actually also understand how should you strengthen it, how should you weaken it, how should you evaluate it, how should you give your own assumptions to it. So you should not worry about AWA sections at all. It will be 100% taken care with the critical reasoning, for sure, that I promise you. So in AWA, the total score for AWA is 6. Like my score was 5.5 in AWA without writing essay one single day in my life. It's all about a pattern-based writing. You need to understand what exactly needs to be written. All you need to ensure that grammatically you should write sentence correct. And the pattern should be 100% fine, that you strengthen it, you weaken it, you evaluate it, you give your own assumptions to it. So when you understand exactly how should you evaluate the argument, when you understand how should you give your own assumptions to the argument, it will be 100% taken care of. So the total score for AWA is 6. You get a point out of 6. In integrated reasoning, there are total 12 questions and the total score allocated for this is 8. Again, integrated reasoning is a section which is 100% taken care if your quant and verbal is good. Because integrated reasoning section is nothing but a combination of a quant and verbal section. They give you, like there are 3 to 4 questions which will be graphical based. You need to look into the graph properly, and based on your looking into the graph, you will have to answer the question. And there will be 3 to 4 questions which will be based on verbal section. Like you will be given critical reasoning questions in a bit different format. So it all depends how beautifully you are prepared for the quant section and the verbal section. That's extremely, extremely important. So our main agenda is to ensure that our quant and verbal should be taken care of. I promise AWA and IR by default will be taken care of. We'll have one session in the end of the class as to what is AWA and what is exactly integrated reasoning. And the score of these 2 sections are not included in actual GMAT score. So you can ask me, Rahul, why these sections are tested in the GMAT exam? That like you ask 100 different people, 100 different people have their 100 different opinions. So it's pretty simple that if it is being tested in the exam, we should 100% go and attempt it for sure. Now there are 2 main sections, guys, that is quant and verbal. In quant, you have total number of questions, 31 questions. You will have 62 minutes to it. In verbal, you have 36 questions. You have 65 minutes to it. Plain, simple stuff. I can promise you out of 31 questions in GMAT quant, there is not one single question which tests you on any sorts of formula. If you know that, it's absolutely good for you. It could be a bonus point for you, but technically you don't need to use any one single formula to solve any one questions of quant. In verbal section, we have 36 questions, 65 minutes to it. And there are 3 sections that are asked in verbal. There is called sentence correction. It is called critical reasoning. And the other one is called reading comprehension. You can expect 12 questions from each one of them. Sometime it might happen that the questions from reading comprehension is 14. You can have questions from essays 11, question from CR 11. Sometime it might happen that question from sentence correction is 13 or 14. You might have one question in CR or one question less in RC. So, but overall, the framework is 12, 12, 12. This is what is usually asked in the exam. Now, again, guys, now there is a strategy that how we go ahead with the quant, which we'll discuss. And there is a strategy that how we go ahead with the verbal. It is practically impossible. I would say that if you try and figure it out, Rahul, I want to be good in all the sections of verbal. It's absolutely, it's eventually you have to be good in all the sections of verbal, but we need to understand that how we get a confidence in verbal. And that is extremely important, because you may come and tell me that, Rahul, I'm pretty good in verbal, but the point is, if you're not able to mark the answer right, it's of no use at all. It's absolutely of no use. So the point about you being good in verbal is that you should ensure that you mark your answers right. And we need to figure out a strategy that how you get confidence in verbal. And for this, guys, there's just one method that whatever section we are studying, let's say we are studying sentence correction for the first, our first class of verbal will start with sentence correction. We'll give 5 class to it. That is almost a month. All we need to ensure that your one section, when you are reading sentence correction, it should be 100% under your control. When you are reading any sentence, you should 100% understand what is wrong, what is right. To get confident in verbal, you have to be extremely confident in any of the 2 sections for sure, or else it won't happen. When you're marking an answer in sentence correction, you should 100% know it. Why is that right answer and why other 4 answers are wrong? So we have to ensure that we do a very strategic study. We can't afford to do some sort of a random study that we are doing everything properly. Because when you study, it looks that everything is very proper. But when we do mock-based study, that's the place where we exactly get to understand what should we be studying and what we have not studied, what is right, what is wrong. Ensure that when you say something you are good at, you should get questions right. It does not at all matter that how conceptually you are clear, because in verbal, people are conceptually very clear. But we need to ensure that the question that we solve is 100% right. There is no doubt about it. Only then you are supposed to be good in verbal. So we have a very proper strategy as to how should we be going ahead and what exactly is the scoring scheme, that also you should know. So let's say there's a quant section over here. I'm so sorry, there is some sort of a maintenance work going above my apartment, and that's the reason there is a sound. So the total scale score of verbal is quant is 51 and verbal is 51, guys. Now you will not get to know what is the score out of 400 in quant and what is your score out of 400 in verbal. You will get to know the scale score. So when you finish up your exam, you submit a button, you will get to know, okay, out of 51, if you get 51, that is called 99th percentile in quant. If you get 50, your percentile decreases to 87th percentile. If you get 49, your percentile decreases to somewhere around 77 percentile or 78 percentile. If you get 48, your percentile straight away comes down to 65 percentile. If you get 47, your percentile goes below 50. In verbal, out of 51, anything 42 or 42 plus, you get 99th percentile. You have 41, it is 90th percentile. If you have 40, it is 85 to 87th percentile. If you get 39, it is almost your 80 to 83 percentile, somewhere around. If you get 38, it is 78 percentile something. So to get 500 in the exam, your score should be, if at all, in quant you are looking for 50, in verbal it should be 36 for sure. So if it's quant 50, verbal 36, this gives you 700. In quant, it's 50, verbal 40, this gives you 740. Yes, Niranjan, please tell me. You can 100%.
Yeah, audible, Rahul?
Yep, you're audible. Please tell me.
Yeah, so you said there are...
Just please tell me. Yeah.
Yeah, so you said there are 31 questions in the quant section, right?
Yep.
So this 51, it is a pointer, as in
this is a pointer. This is called scale scoring. This has nothing to do with the question. I'm telling you the marking scheme right now. So if you
that's
want
what I
to get 51 out of 51, imagine, Niranjan, if you want to get 51 out of 51 in maths, you can afford to do just one mistake. That's it, out of 31.
Okay, so there are a few questions which will have 2 points, is what you're saying. That is what it means, correct?
No, not 2 points and all. This is an independent scale scoring. You don't know how the GMAT marking algorithm works. A normal person don't know. They just predict. So what out of prediction, like let's say when GMAT prep, there is a GMAT prep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. People have done a lot of permutation and combination over there. So if you do one question wrong in maths out of 31, maximum one question, you will get 51 out of 51 for sure. But moment your 2 questions are wrong, your score will come to 50. So you should
Understood.
ensure that maximum mistake that you should do is max to max is 5 mistakes. I would say not even 5 mistakes, below 5 mistakes, because below 5 mistake will guarantee you the score of 50. So what exactly
Okay.
happens, guys? If you want a good score, if you want a good admits in a college, your quant score should not be compromised. But be 100% sure till your verbal score is not 37 plus, I would say, your score will not be convincing at all. So verbal score ensures that your overall GMAT score is taken care of. That is, you get more than 700, and which we need to focus. I can 100% tell you, if you go strategically in verbal, it's not hard to get 40 at all. There are a lot of students who has been getting 40, but again, we need to concentrate a lot. We need to be very strategic. You simply cannot randomly go and practice anything the way you wish. I'll be telling you very clearly as to what needs to be done. So the scaling score is very much different to the marking scheme, Niranjan. It's not about that every questions of GMAT has a score and all. Nothing. You don't know about it. You should ensure that your mistakes in math should be less than 5, and your mistakes in verbal, if it's less than 6, like out of 36 questions, if you do 30 questions right, out of 31 questions in math, if you do 27, 28 questions right, you can 100% ensure that your score will be 740 for sure. This is what is the normal rules. Anyone, any doubt? Please tell me. Abhishek, Akansha, Apurva,
All clear.
Induja, Jay, Manan. Any problem, anyone, please tell me. Gauri,
No, all clear.
All good.
Shreya, is this clear? So this was a normal structure of a GMAT exam. Let's not complicate it at all. So we have two main sections called quant, where you have 31 questions, 62 minutes. You have verbal, 36 questions, 65 minutes. So we need to ensure, guys, this is a 400 GMAT score. This is 400 GMAT score. These two sections should be taken care of very properly. If you can take care of these two sections, I promise you don't have to study AWA and IR even for a bit. You can straight away do it in the mock, and that will be taken care of. But if you do not study quant and verbal properly, it's very obvious that you will get worried for AWA and IR as well. 100%. So let's concentrate completely on quant and verbal. What we have today is that today we'll be starting a quant section. We'll be doing it slowly because there are some people who have inquired with me 3 or 4 days before. I don't know how much they have studied. So we'll go very slow today, nothing to worry about. So let's understand the quant section of it in detail. So we'll start now. So in quant section, as I've told you, 31 questions, 62 minutes. You get 2 minutes for per question. Be very sure, guys, one thing, that it's a very logical exam, GMAT, extremely logical exam. At any one point of time, if you are doing 789 into 589 or 517, whatever, if you are doing such calculations in the exam, by default, you understand that you are doing something wrong. It should be a very straightforward understood that you are doing something wrong. GMAT does not believe in calculations at all. GMAT don't even ask you to calculate 13 into 9. Trust me. Even this calculation is not required in GMAT. So it's a very logical exam. It's not calculative at all. So if you are doing all these things anywhere in the exam, please stop and rethink what exactly are you doing. I can promise you every questions of GMAT can be solved in 2 minutes for sure. There might be some questions which may take some time, but there might also be a questions which can be done in 20 seconds and 30 seconds. So absolutely, if you are conceptually clear. So again, now the question comes of timing, that Rahul, I don't have time. Now the question comes of timing, that a lot of people complain me, Rahul, I don't get time in the maths and sections and all. You just don't get time because you are not conceptually clear. Simple logic. And I'll tell you exactly how should we be studying also. So the timing issue only comes when you are conceptually not clear. There's nothing called timing in math. If you are conceptually clear, 100% you will be able to do questions in 2 minutes for sure. Your timing comes into consideration when you are conceptually not clear. So let's not bother about timing, guys. And I'll tell you one thing pretty simple. When you say yourself good in maths, when there is an unseen question in front of you and you do it 100% by yourself, You 100% do the question by yourself, only then you are good in maths. Even if you take 0.1% help from somewhere else, it will be a huge problem. So be very sure that we should study math in such a way where every particular stuff is taken care of. Every particular stuff, like we should be conceptually very clear. And how can we reach that particular label? So we'll have to give time to the questions for sure. So initially, when you are solving the questions, initially when we are solving the questions, we should not bother about timing at all. We should have just one thought process in our head. Let it take 1 hour, let it take 2 hours. It does not matter, but we should solve questions by ourselves. There should not be an iota of help that you should take from other end. Now, how exactly that level of confidence comes, I'll be extremely clear with it. So imagine in quant, what are the chapters that we are going to deal with? Let's say the first chapter that we are dealing is inequalities. The second chapter that will start is absolute value. The third chapter that we would start is statistic. And then we have number system. Then we have geometry. Then we have coordinate geometry. Then we have words problem, that is arithmetic. In this, you will have percentage, sets, time and distance, time and work, ratios, interest. All these topics will be covered. And then we have PNC and probability. So how should we be extremely clear with the topics is, guys, it's a pretty simplistic formula. Let's not complicate it. So let's say we are discussing with inequalities in our class. So we'll be discussing a handout of inequality. I want you, before you go and start approaching any sorts of unseen question, I want that you should be extremely conceptually clear with the handout that we are discussing in the class. You should not compromise with one single questions over there. If you ensure me, Rahul, each and every question is conceptually clear to me from the handout, I can 100% ensure you that any questions of that particular chapter from anywhere in the world, you will be in position to approach it. So in our class, a lot of thought process we'll try to give on how you approach a question. You solving a question is it's absolutely not an issue at all. You solve it wrong, it's absolutely okay. Eventually we'll get it right. But when a question is front of you, we should understand that how you approach a question. So in the handout, I have tried my best to keep all the sorts of a question which covers the entire concept of that particular chapter. So I'm being very clear, guys. And that's the only reason what I have told you, do the inequality handout before you come for the class. I've given you the videos. Discuss the same handout with me in the class so that you are extremely at the concept level, very clear with each and every question. I promise you. So let's say this is an inequality handout that we will be discussing a bit today. If this is a handout that is super clear to you, I promise you any questions of inequality from anywhere in the world, you will be in position to solve it. So what should be our strategy to go ahead with the quant chapter is like whatever chapter we are discussing, your job is to ensure that each and every question that we discuss in the class handout should be very clear. And for that clarity, if you want to do it 2 times, if you want to do it 3 times, if you want to do it 4 times, please do it. Because there is no point of you attempting an unseen problem without you being clear with the basics concept. And class handout ensures that every basic concept is in a very well way discussed, for sure. That I can promise you. So our normal agenda for the quant session should be very clear with the handout, extremely clear. Once the handout is clear, I'll give you the extra questions and I'll tell you exactly how should you be solving those particular questions. And then, guys, we have to be very strategic in these chapters as well. The chapter that we are starting today, inequality, it's supposed to be one of the most tricky chapter, I would say. It's an easy chapter, but all depends that how you approach the problem, how you think on the problem. So my major concern here would be to tell you exactly how should you be approaching the problem. Because if your inequality is good, guys, your absolute value section is taken care of. If your absolute value, inequality and absolute value is good, your number system is taken care of. And please be very sure if these 3 chapters you are good at, out of 31 questions in GMAT quant, you are done with 14 to 15 questions. I can promise you, this is not some random figure I'm telling you. Yes, please tell me. Yeah, Bhomik, you can speak. No issue at all. You don't have to write.
Okay, so Rahul, this is the class schedule. Like first, we'll be taking up inequalities.
Yeah.
So we'll be starting at a certain level. What about the basic part?
No, we'll be starting at a very basic level. Don't worry at all.
Okay.
At a very basic level, we'll be starting with it. Very basics. Nothing to worry about. All the basics will be covered, Bhomik. It's just that, Bhomik, when I ask you to do some work, you should be able to do that.
Okay, Rahul. Okay.
Whenever I ask you, like before every chapter, I'll be giving you a very clear-cut instruction that these needs to be done. And if you do it properly, I promise it should not be a problem at all. Because the point is, basic is a very misunderstood word, Bhomik, I would say you. Imagine if I say you inequality as a chapter. What is the basic in this? XY greater than 0 means what? XY less than 0 means what? Because inequality, when you say x is equal to 5, this is the equation, right? Agreed, Bhomik? When you say x greater than 5 or x greater than equal to 5, this is an equality equation. So basics are very clear. Xy greater than 0 means signs of x and y are same. Xy less than 0 means signs of x and y are different. So the basic is just this, Bhomik. The point is how you implement these concepts while you are solving the question. That's just something that we need to learn. So I would say basic is a very misunderstood word. People actually fear that, Rahul, my basics are not clear. It's not about your basics are not clear. It's about you are clear with your basics, but the point is you don't know how to implement that in problem. So we should 100% understand that if there is a question given to you, Bhomik, how you approach that particular question, that is something which is extremely important for us in the class. I'll make sure that that one part is taken care of. Agreed? Any other problem, Bhomik? Anyone, any other issues? Please tell me. Any questions till now? So should we start? Should we start with the quant?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Perfect. So before we go ahead, in quant, there are two types of questions that are asked, guys. 31 questions, 62 minutes. So there are two types of a question that are asked in quant in GMAT. The first one is called data sufficiency. The second one is called problem solving. So out of 31 questions, you can 100% expect whether you are doing good in quant or you are doing bad in quant. That doesn't matter at all. But you can 100% expect the number of data sufficiency question will surely be 16 or 17. Almost more than 50% of the question will be from data sufficiency. If you are doing good in quant, you can expect number of data sufficiency questions to go as high as 20, 21, 22. So GMAT loves giving you questions on data sufficiency. Loves. Why? Because in this types of question, your thought process involved is too high. Problem solving is what? You are given one question and there are 5 options given to you. You need to mark whatever is the answer. Just mark whatever A, B, C, D, whatever answers you get, you just mark it off. What happens in data sufficiency question, guys? Because in data sufficiency, you are not essentially trying to solve a problem. There's a question given and this is a half question that is given to you. And there are 2 statements given to you. Now you need to tell that whether can you solve this particular question with the help of statement number 1 and 2 or not. So moment you see 2 options, your answers choices should be in form of A, B, C, D, E, where A says that statement number 1 alone is sufficient to answer the question. So there is a half question given to you. There's a question given to you and this question is half. This question, so here you are not trying to essentially solve a question. You are trying to say, will you be able to solve this question with the help of statements or not? If at all this question can be solved with the statement number 1, you will mark A as an answer. Sometime it might happen that this question cannot be solved with the help of statement number 1. You will have to go to statement number 2. If at all you are able to solve the question with the help of statement number 2, you will mark B as an answer. A lot of time it happens, guys, you will not be able to solve this question with the help of statement number 1 or 2. So when you are 100% sure that the question cannot be solved with the statement number 1 and 2, you will have to go ahead with the mark answer. The answer C says that statement 1 plus 2, both are sufficient to answer the question. Combination of these 2 statements is sufficient to answer this particular question. Sometime it happens, guys, that statement number 1 alone is sufficient to answer the question. Statement number 2 alone is sufficient to answer the question. In that case, you will mark statement number D as answer. Statement 1 alone is sufficient. Statement 2 and statement 2 alone is sufficient. And a lot of time it happens that this question cannot be solved with the help of these 2 statements. In that case, you will mark answer E, none of these. So it looks to be an easy one, but this is one thing which can trap you. So please understand the chapters that we discussed, inequality, absolute value, number system, where I asked you that 14 to 15 questions will be asked from this chapter. 99% questions from this chapter will be asked in form of a data sufficiency. Be very sure about it. So before we go ahead and start the individual chapter, we do a half an hour class of a DS concept as to how should you approach a data sufficiency problem. So let's start with the DS concepts, guys. So I want to clear this concept here because I don't want that when we go to inequality or when we go to number system or when we go to absolute value chapter or for that any chapter, you ask me, Rahul, why not A, how to mark answer A, how to mark answer B. So before that, let's understand, let's have a bit of DS concepts classes. What exactly is data sufficiency? So in data sufficiency, guys, there are two types of a question that are asked in the exam. One is called is type and one is called what type. In S type of a question, confirm yes and confirm no. Both are accepted answer. In what type of a question, you should have a unique numeric value as an answer. Now, what exactly this means? So there are only two type of a data sufficiency question that you can get in the exam. One is your is type, another is what type. That's it. There is no other data sufficiency questions that you can get in your exam. So in S type, remember, confirm yes, confirm no, both are accepted answer. In what type, you should get a unique numeric value as an answer. So imagine if I simply ask, is your name Rahul? Is your name Rahul? What is your answer? No. And this is the valid answer. If I ask, is your name Gauri? You say yes. This is also a valid answer. So confirm yes or confirm no in S type of questions are the valid answer. Imagine if I give you a simple question, is X greater than 100? My first option is X is greater than 90. My second option is X is less than 95. Now, moment you see one question and you see two statements, your answer should be in form of A, B, C, D, E. I'll make it very clear what exactly A, B, C, D, E stands for. So if at all, can you please answer this question? Take 20 seconds. Tell me your answers, whatever it is.
It's B, I guess.
B. Okay. Any other?
Only B, I said, not B. B.
Okay, B. Perfect. Any other?
Only second statement, sir. It's
B.
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 Perfect. Any other answers? Please tell your answer or write your answer in the chat. Whatever it is, doesn't matter at all. Until you don't do something wrong, it will be hard for you to know why it is right. So it's pretty simple, guys. Dekho, what exactly is the purpose of you solving any S type of a data sufficiency question? It should be very clear from here. Option number 1 says that X is greater than 90. If I say X is greater than 90, X can be 94. X can be 120, right? Any doubt? Is X greater than 100? Option number 1 says X is greater than 90. X can be 94, which is not greater than 100. It's a no situation. And X can be 120, which is actually greater than 100. It's a yes situation. So if you have a yes and no situation, it simple means this statement is not sufficient. Now, please understand from here, guys, whenever you are trying to solve any S type of a question in data sufficiency, your entire purpose with any statement is to create a yes and no situation. And what exactly you mean by yes and no situation? So my question was, is X greater than 100? Option number 1 says X is greater than 90. So if X is greater than 90, X can be 94. You can take any number greater than 90. It can be 91, 92. And if X is greater than 90, it's not greater than 100. I have a no situation. But when I say X is greater than 90, X can be 120 also. And it is greater than 90. It's a yes situation. So our entire purpose of solving any data sufficiency question, is type of a data sufficiency question, is to create a yes and no situation with the statements. If I am able to create it, I can say this statement is not sufficient. Simple logic. Now imagine X is less than 95. If X is less than 95, what are the values of X? It could be 94, 93, 92, all the way to negative infinity. So when I say X is less than 95, can I be 100% sure to say that X can never ever be greater than 100? Can I say it's a confirmed no answer? because I can't create any yes situation. If I take any value of x less than 95, it will be definitely less than 100. So it is same as asking, is your name Rahul? And option number 2 says no, your name is not Rahul. So is x greater than 100? Option number 2 says x is less than 95. It means that x is never greater than 100, and this is a accepted answer. Confirm no is accepted answer. So we say answer is B to this question. Anyone, any doubt? Bhaumik, Manan, Gauri, Shreya?
No, I'm clear about this. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is a normal question, very normal question. But imagine how we use this concept while we are solving the question. If someone who must have gone through the videos and all, you might be knowing, but still, just give me half an hour and the class will become interesting for you. So imagine, what is a right angle triangle? Now I'm just asking you to solve using this concept some question. What do you mean by right angle triangle? Imagine this is a triangle ABC. Tell me when this triangle is a right angle triangle. When Pythagoras theorem is satisfied, that is AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square. Is this clear? Anyone, any doubt? So this is a right angle triangle. Just based on this concept that it's a right angle triangle, there's a beautiful question that is given to you. Can you please take 2 minutes to solve question number 7? You might have solved it already if you would have done the homework. But still, a lot of people have not done it. So let's take 2 minutes, solve this question. Because guys, please understand, in math, there is nothing called theory. Theory doesn't exist in math. You have to solve a question. Only then you can be clear, else no. And what concept just I have told you, that is more than sufficient for you to solve question number 7. Can you please take 2 minutes? And do write your answers in chat. Write it wrong or let it be wrong or let it be right, doesn't matter at all. It's all C, right? Perfect. Shisha B, Ranjan B. See. So see here, it says the length of side AB is 17. This is given to you. That length of side AB is 17. And now they say you two things. BC is 144 and AC is 145. A lot of people ask me, Rahul, how have you drawn a triangle with such sides? Please be very sure. If you are drawing a right angle triangle, you have to ensure that you mark, because the triangle is not drawn in the question. So there are people who says, Rahul, why not ABC can be this? This is a very normal doubt in this question. Why didn't you draw a triangle where you wrote ABC in this way? So please understand, we are trying to prove it's a right angle triangle or not. You have to ensure that you mark your triangle in such a way where the highest point is 145. So AC is 145. So hypotenuse is the highest side of a right angle triangle. So I have to draw a triangle in such a way where my hypotenuse is 145. So triangle will be drawn in this way itself. Now the question is trying to ask you over here, is this triangle a right angle triangle? Yes or no? So if at all this triangle has to be a right angle triangle, AC square should be equal to AB square plus BC square. Simple logic. Now I know that AB is given to me, that is 17 square is given to me. And option number 1 says me what? BC is 144. So imagine this is 144 square. I have no idea about AC at all. Do you really feel that you will be able to mark the answer? You can't tell me that it's a right angle triangle or not. So this statement is not sufficient. Now, when you come to option number 2, it says AC is 145. Be very sure, guys, if you go to option number 2, option number 1 does not exist for you at all. There is no option number 1 that exists for you. Do not carry forward the information of option number 1 to 2. Absolutely no. So when you are looking for AC is equal to 145, I don't know anything about BC, whatever it is. No idea about BC at all. I can 100% say this is not sufficient. Now, when I combine this statement, I know that 145 square is equal to 14 square plus 144 square. Now, after this, what exactly did you do? Now, after this, if you try and calculate it, it will be a recipe to disaster. You will eventually get the answer for sure, but you should not be doing it, because if you are trying to calculate here that 145 square is equal to what, 17 square plus 144 square is equal to what, it simple means that you have not understood the is concept of a problem. So imagine the value of 145 square is equal to A, and the value of 17 square plus 144 square is equal to B. Now I have two situations, either A can be equal to B or A cannot be equal to B. That's it. So right at this point, if A is equal to B, I can say it's a confirm yes answer. It's a right angle triangle. If A is not equal to B, I can say it's a confirm no answer. No, it's not a right angle triangle. So this is a place where you are not supposed to calculate. A lot of people calculate this and they get A is equal to B and they say answer is yes. But that's a recipe to disaster. GMAT expected that you do this question in 20 seconds. And if you do any sorts of calculations over here, it will take you 2 minutes. Be very sure about it. Maximum, what can you calculate? You can calculate is 145 square minus 144 square is equal to 17 square. So 145 square minus 144 square is what? 145 plus 144 into 145 minus 144 is equal to 17 square, let's say. Now this is 982 into 1. 17 square is 289. If at all you calculate, you will get A is equal to B. And then you will say answer confirm yes, but that was not required at all. Because this value can be either equal to 17 square plus 144 square, or it may not be equal to. So if it is equal to, it's a confirm yes answer. If it is not equal to, it's a confirm no answer. In both the cases, you are getting the answer. Agreed? Any doubt, anybody? Manan, Bomik, yeah, please tell me.
Rahul, so another rationale is that if you take the first answer, when you're evaluating answer A, you still can't figure out which is the largest side.
No, you can figure out. Imagine you take some small sides. Imagine, let's say this 3 is defined for you. Let's say this is 4, option BC is 4 and AC is 5. Now imagine if you take these denotions, don't take such a big number 17, 145, 144. Let's say 3, 4, 5 is this. Now imagine for this to be a right angle triangle, AB square should be equal to AC square plus BC square, right? You know that AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square.
Yeah.
Imagine, Shresha, now you know that AB is fixed for you 3, right? Now BC, you know, option number 1, you know, BC is 4. So 3 square plus 4 square, you know, but you don't know what is here. It can be 5 square, it can be 6 square, it can, AC could be 5, AC could be 6, AC could be 7, that I don't know. And that's the reason I say option number 2 is not sufficient, because I'm not sure about what is the value of AC.
Okay. Yeah.
And imagine option number 2, like AC is given as 5 square. Now this is 3 square and BC is not known to us. So I'm not trying to find the value of BC. BC itself as an entity is not known to me. So it could be 4, it could be 5 itself, it could be 6. And that's the reason I can't say just by knowing that this is AC is 5 and AB is 3, I can't predict that this is a right angle triangle. Agreed?
But it could be that
it could be 4 square, but it could be 6 square as well. To have a yes and no situations to it. So it is not sufficient.
Got it. Yeah.
Any doubt?
Wait, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please tell me.
When wait, I'm a little confused right now. So if we have the total numbers here, you said we don't need to calculate, that's all right. But when you're clicking an option, if it turns out to be no, if it's not a right angle triangle, shouldn't the answer be E, that both these statements are not sufficient for me to decide if it's a right angle triangle or not?
No. If let's say this is not, A is not equal to B, right?
Right.
So it's simple as asking, is your name Rahul? What's your answer?
Yeah, but then last option C says that none of these statements are sufficient for me to give an answer.
No, option number C says that it is sufficient. Imagine, simple. Let's say this is 3, 4, 5. Let's not confuse here. This is A, this is B, and this is C. Let's say this is 3 given to you, right?
Right.
Now, option number 1 says BC is equal to 4. And option number 2 says AC is equal to 5. Agreed, Gauri?
No, I understood the solution part of it. I just don't know which option to
I'm
click.
just telling you.
Okay.
Imagine BC is 4. Now for
Yeah.
this to be a right angle triangle, I should know what? AC square should be equal to AB square plus BC square.
Yeah.
Any doubt over here?
No.
So imagine AC square is not known to me.
Right.
Option number 1 says BC is not known to me. So this is 3 square and this is 4 square.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what is the value of AC. I can 100% say this statement is not sufficient, right?
Correct.
Now in the second statement, I know that AC is 5. So
Right.
this is 5 known to me, but I don't know what is the value of BC, Gauri.
Correct.
So I'm 100% sure this statement is not sufficient.
Yes.
Now, when I combine Gauri, then I know all the three values. I know this is 5 square, this is 3 square, and this is 4 square.
Yeah.
Now tell me. Now what's the problem over here? Now you know that this is 3 square, this is 5 square, this is 3 square, this is 4 square. So imagine this is a small number. You can say, Rahul, 5 square is 25, 3 square plus 4 square is 25, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You get a confirm yes answer.
Correct. But say if I don't calculate, the numbers are a little too big for
Now
me to.
imagine in place of 4, this is 6. Let's agreed.
Yeah.
BC is equal, no, BC is equal to, let's say, let's keep BC 4. Keep AC is equal to 7, imagine.
Right.
Let's not imagine 5.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say this is 7 square is equal to 3 square plus 4 square, right?
Right.
Now this is 49, you know,
Yeah.
and you know this is 25.
Yeah.
So you know that this is not equal to this, so it's not a right angle triangle. So you are getting a confirmed no answer, right? It's not a
Yeah.
right angle triangle. So that is also answer. So C you will mark. In that case also you'll mark answer C. That's what I'm telling you. You don't have to calculate it over here, Gauri. What is happening over here is that either AC square, either this entity is equal to this entity,
Right.
or this entity will not be equal to this entity. So even if it is equal, you say a confirm yes answer, C is the accepted answer. Even if
What
it
does option E say? What could you just remind me?
option E says that this question cannot be answered with the help of these two statements. That's it.
Oh, all right, all right. Okay, I
Okay.
got it. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And that's the reason answer is C.
Yeah.
Anyone doubt? Any other? Abhishek, Akansha, Avneet, Niranjan, Shrisha.
No, no.
None for now.
Perfect. Siddhi, any doubt? Perfect.
No, no.
Now, can you please try solving question number 1? Terminating decimal is what? Something that stops. 1 by 2 is terminating. 1 by 2 is nothing but 0.5, which is terminating. 1 by 3 is 0.333. It's a non-terminating. You don't have to actually, for these questions, you should not know anything at all in math. No concept is required. These are all conceptless questions. It's all logics. Can you take 2 minutes for question number 1? Please write your answers in the chat. Question number 1. If the answer you write so fast, then you will 100% do wrong.
Okay.
So Avneet,
Yeah.
Ullas, it's a second you have solved in 1 second, so it's wrong. Try again. One okay. Perfect, chair. Perfect, Indija. Huh. All of you have the answer. So it says that is P by Q. So guys, these are the beautiful questions to understand how you approach a questions. Please be very sure. These are not something I'm trying to test you and all. Question is P by Q a terminating decimal? Simple. These are the questions I'm making you solve so that you understand how to solve a data sufficiency problem. Option number 1 says P is a factor of 100. Option number 2 says Q is a factor of 100. So imagine if a number P is a factor of 100. What does this mean? That all the numbers that divides 100 and the remainder is 0. Simple. So if P is a factor of 100, P can be 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, 100. This is the value of P it can take. P can be, if P is a factor of 100, all these numbers are a factor of 100. But from option number 1, I have no idea about Q. Be very sure about it. Imagine if I take P is equal to 2. I have no idea about Q. I can take Q is equal to, let's say, 2. So P by Q is what? 2 by 2. That is 1, which is a terminating decimal. I have a yes situation. Guys, please be very sure. When you are solving a is type of a data sufficiency question, your entire purpose of solving any statement is to create a yes or no situation. Simple. And yes and no situation in respect to what? In respect to question. So my question is asking is P by Q a terminating decimal? Option number 1 says P is a factor of 100. I have written all the numbers that I can take for P. These are factor of 100. Now I have no idea about Q. So I'll take P is equal to 2, Q is equal to 2, P by Q, 2 by 2, 1 terminating condition. But again, I've created a yes situation. Now it's my job to create a no situation over here. Imagine I take P is equal to 2 and Q is equal to 3. So P by Q is what? 2 by 3. And that is, if you divide this, you'll get 0.666. So it's a no situation. Now, because I've got a yes and no situation, and that's the reason I say this statement is not sufficient. So be very sure. In any is type of a question, when you say that a statement is not sufficient, your 100% your job is to create a yes and no situation with all this statement. It is your job. You can never say in math, please never ever do this, that you look into the question and you feel that this is not sufficient, so you write not sufficient. Don't do all those stuffs at all. Your job is to create a yes and no situation on pen and paper. Now imagine option number 2 says Q is a factor of 100. So all these numbers can be Q for sure. Q can be all these numbers. Now I have to create a yes and no situation. So the people who have told answer C, can you give me a yes and no situation? Because you will go to C only when you are 100% sure option number 1 is not sufficient, option number 2 is not sufficient. So can you please give me a one? It says Q is a factor of 100. I can take P is equal to 2, Q is equal to 2, 2 by 2. It's a terminating condition. It's a yes situation. What is a non-terminating condition? What is a no situation for option number 2? The one who has told answer C should give a no situation. Tell me.
1 by 3.
Yeah, you can do that. P is equal to 1 by 3 and Q is equal to, let's say, 2. So P by Q is what? 1 by 6. And this is a non-terminating condition. It's a no situation. And that's the reason I say this statement is also not sufficient. Why? Because guys, please understand, in question, it is not given that P and Q are integer. Imagine if question would have been if P and Q are integer, then your answer B would have made sense. But it is not mentioned in the question that P and Q are integer. In GMAT, the entire question is set with this thought process that you have to read question very, very well. If you misread one question at one point of time, it's all wrong. So it is not given to me in the question P and Q are integer. So I'm free to take any value of P for statement number 2. And just I took that P is equal to 1 by 3, Q is equal to 2. And that's the reason I've created a no situation. And that's the reason I say option number 2 is not sufficient. But if it is given that P and Q are integer, B is the right answer. But it is not given to me in the question. So in this case, if I combine, combination is what? P is equal to Q and is equal to 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, 100. Now, if you take any of these two numbers and divide, P by Q will always be terminating condition. Always. So C is my right answer. So a learning from this question could be that imagine if you divide a number by 2, or if you divide a number by 5, or you divide a number by 2 cross 5, or you divide a number by 2 to the power m, you divide a number by 5 to the power n, or you divide a number by 2 to the power m into 5 to the power n. This is the only situation where you get a terminating condition. So when I said that 1 by 6 is a non-terminating condition, how did I say this? Because 6 is nothing but 2 cross 3. It's straightforward logic. 6 is nothing but 2 cross 3. Moment it is in denominator, there is a 3. I can straight away say it's a non-terminating. Now you can say, Rahul, 9 by 3 is terminating. But please understand that 9 is multiple of 3. That's the reason it is terminating. But if you do 10 by 3, it is 100% non-terminating. You don't have to divide it at all. For a terminating condition, you should have denominator only 2, 5 or the powers of 2, 5 or the multiplication of 2 and 5, nothing else at all. Or if you say, obviously you can say Rahul 49 by 7 is terminating, but please understand 49 is a multiple of 7. If you divide 50 by 7, it will be 100% non-terminating in whatsoever situation. It doesn't matter at all. So this is one simple learning that you can take it from. Now imagine question number 6 looks a bit tougher one. But if you know how to use the is concept, I'm asking you to do only statement number 1. I'm not asking you to do statement number 2. You don't need any sorts of formula, any sorts of a concept of an interest to do this question. Can you please try question number 6, option number 1, tell me it is sufficient or not sufficient whatsoever. Don't do option number 2. Please try. P. No. I've just asked you to solve question statement number 1, Trisha. I'll just tell you if you know is concept. So that's what I'm telling you. Just knowing that there are two types of a question, is type and what type, is not sufficient. It's absolutely not sufficient. Just by knowing the is concept that confirm yes and confirm no are accepted answer, even that is not sufficient. Your implication should be, can you apply it or not? Now see here, this I deposit earns interest of 210. What is this 210? This I is given to you 210, right? Agreed? Where in interest 2 years, what is 2 years? N is given 2 years. Imagine now you know what is I, you know what is N. You have to take out the value of R. You are not supposed to take out the value of R. This should be done in 20 seconds. Imagine value of R comes less than 8%. What is your answer? Confirm no is your answer. And you will say this statement is sufficient. Imagine value of R you get as 8%. You will still say confirm no is my answer. You will say this statement number 1 is sufficient. Imagine value of R comes greater than 8%. Now you will say it's a confirm yes answer. You will get any one thing. Either you will get less than 8%, you will get one value of R. Please understand. And that value of R could be less than 8% or equal to 8%. You will say it's a confirm no answer. So option number 1 is sufficient. But value of R can be greater than 8%. In that case also, you will say it's a confirm yes answer. So this is sufficient. So to say option number 1 is sufficient should not take you more than 20 seconds. And if you go and start doing calculations, it's all over. It's absolutely over. So you might find that this is a very, very tricky question or a very subjective type of a question where you have to solve it or nothing at all. Nothing. It's just your head. You have to understand what do you mean by is type of a question. Is type of a question says confirm yes or confirm no. Both are accepted answer. That's it. That's it. Now here, if I get the value of R, that R could be less than 8% or equal to 8%. In that case, it's a confirm no answer. R value could be greater than 8%. In that case, it's a confirm yes answer. So option number 1 is sufficient for sure. I'm not going to option number 2 right now because we'll anyway solve all these questions in the respective chapter. So nothing to worry about. Anyone, any doubt? Yes,
yeah,
please
I
tell me.
have. So
Please tell
Rahul,
me.
it says that $1,000 is deposited, and on that, this is the interest rate. So basically, I is equals to principal into the formula, right? But here P is also an unknown
No,
entity.
it says, no, it shows that deposit earn a total of this in interest. And I says that it's interest. That's it. 1,000 is
that is on-
deposited.
Yeah, that is on 1,000 of principal,
No,
right?
but no, you are what you are trying to do. You are trying to use your own concept of principal, interest, and all. But this question gives you everything. It says if 100 is deposited to a certain bank account and remains in the account, along with the accrued interest, the dollar amount of the interest I earned by deposit in the first 10 years is given by formula this. Now you don't bring your own formula of interest and all. The
No, I
question is telling
actually
that I is earned through this.
got it. So I just thought that this 1,000 refers to the 1,000 that is
No,
deposited.
that's a
So
principal
that,
amount.
yeah,
Yeah,
I got it.
that's a principal
That
amount.
is why I thought that is one. There is one
So
more.
that's matlab, these are the
unknown entity.
ways, Avneet,
Mhm.
which GMAT tries to say you we are making a tough question, but these are not tough question if you actually read it properly. It's nothing at all. Saying statement number 1 is sufficient should not take more than 20 seconds after reading the question.
Yeah, no, I actually thought that there is one more unknown entity that is principal here, because I thought this 1,000 that is mentioned in the formula is actually referring
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
$1,000
understood.
deposit. Yeah. Then just a trap again.
But it's clear, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So guys, this was the is type of a question in data sufficiency. Now let's come down to what type of a question. It's pretty simple. If these are the two types you understand. So why I'm making you solve some questions, few questions from here, because I can't ask you to solve question number, let's say 13 or question number 20, because I'll have to teach you the entire concept of absolute value, or I'll have to teach you entire number system concept. So what I'm trying to do is that we are solving 5 or 6 questions from this handout so that you get a hang of how to solve a data sufficiency question. And then again, we go ahead with the respective chapters, and all these questions are covered in the respective chapter. So let's do it in the respective chapter itself. So now let's come down to what type of a question. In what type of a question, you must have a unique numeric value as an answer. Simple. It's as simple as you can think. Imagine if I say you, what is the value of X? Option number 1 says me X square is equal to 36. Option number 2 says me x is greater than 2. Take 20 seconds, please, to solve this. Moment you have two statement, your answer should be in form of A, B, C, D. E. Always remember. If you have a question and two statement, it means it's a data sufficiency question. Absolutely. So it's a straightforward answer, guys. X square is equal to 36 means what? X is equal to plus 6 or minus 6. And I've just told you in what type of a question you should have a unique numeric value. So there are two different values, plus 6, minus 6. I can say this statement is not sufficient. X greater than 2, it can take a multiple value 3 to infinity. Again, you can say this statement is not sufficient. But when you combine them, option number 1 says you x is equal to plus 6 or minus 6. Option number 2 says you x is greater than 2. Now, if you combine them, you will get just x is equal to 6. Now, you can't fight with me saying that, Rahul, if x is greater than 2, it can take a multiple values. No, it has to be completely limited to this bracket. Option number 1 says x is equal to plus 6 minus 6. X is greater than 2. Minus 6 will get discarded while combining. You are left with x is equal to plus 6. So C is the answer. Pretty simple.
One more question, Rahul.
Yeah,
Do you
please tell me.
think that x is an integer value, that statement is required here?
No, absolutely no. Why?
Okay. I was just saying,
Absolutely no.
if I assume that x is a fractional value, and then
You can
I
assume anything. You can assume, like when I say x is greater than 2, you can assume x can be 2.5, 2.1, 2.3, or x can be 3, 4, 5 to infinity. Any value you can assume. That's not an issue at all. But it says you it's a not sufficient, right, Avnit?
no, from the first statement, Rahul, if x square
First
is
statement, if x
36,
square is 36, then that's by default that x can be only plus 6 or minus 6. Nothing else, no other values it can take.
okay, got it.
So now, based on the simple logic, you might have done all these questions, but still, just for 2 minutes and then we go to inequality, it will be all fine then. The one who has done it, for them, it can be boring. Question number 4, please. Do not tell blindly answer. Think a lot. Even if you have done it, please think and tell the answer. Question number 4. Okay. A. No, Lush. Wrong. Try again. Okay. And the job B, right? And B. Okay. Gauri, Shreya, answer. Avnit.
I actually pinged it earlier itself.
Okay. B. Perfect. Now it says that, see here, Jonna bought 0.15 stamp and 0.29 stamp. How many 0.15 stamp did she buy? So let's say the 0.15 stamps he bought is X and 0.29 stamp what he bought is Y. The question is how many 0.15 stamp did he buy? What is the value of X? Your first job is always in data sufficiency question, guys, to segregate the type of a question. It is a S type of a question or a what type of a question. The question asking what is the value of X. Now, option number 1 says he bought an equal number of 0.15 stamp and 0.29 stamp. So option number 1 says X is equal to Y. That's it. But X is equal to Y. What is the number it could be here? It could be 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, whatsoever. So I can straight away say this is not sufficient. Second says he bought 4.40 worth of stamp. It means what? 0.15X plus 0.29Y is equal to 4.40. Simple logic. Now, a lot of people would still look into these two statements and they'll say it is not, it is C's the answer. Like a lot. Initially, when you do these questions, like option number 1 says X is equal to Y, not sufficient. Option number 2 says 0.15X plus 0.29Y is equal to 4.40. You will straight away say this is not sufficient. Majority of the students do see two statement, two equation, they'll mark answer C. But please understand, be very % sure. If you mark answer C in this question for one question, GMAT will deduct your 30 to 40 points. Remember, GMAT penalizes you very heavily when you do easy questions wrong, and easy questions are also a bit tricky one for sure. When you say this is not sufficient, a lot of people says initially this is not sufficient. You should simply give me a reason why it is not sufficient. When I say you X plus Y is equal to 10, I ask you the value of X. What is the value of X? Now, here you can say me this is not sufficient. Why, Rahul? Because it could be 9 plus 1, it could be 8 plus 2, it could be 7 plus 3. There are 3 different values. So you can say me this is not sufficient. It's straightforward. But if at all you mark C here, you didn't even try to find out that option number 2 was sufficient for you or not. That's the major trap in this question. These are called C trap problem. If in any moment in GMAT, in 20 seconds, if you come down to answer C, be very sure that there is something wrong that's happening over there. Because when you're coming down to answer C, you are 100% sure why option number is not sufficient, why option number 2 is not sufficient. Until you are not very sure about it, do not think anything from your head. Do not use your mind that two equations, two variable, and this is not sufficient. You have to prove why option number 2 is not sufficient. You can only prove by giving me 2 different values of X and Y. When I say X plus Y is equal to 10, you can say, and I've been asking you what is the value of X. And when I'm saying you X plus Y is equal to 10, you can 100% say me this is not sufficient, Rahul, because it is 9 plus 1, 8 plus 2, 7 plus 3 will give you 10. But here what? So you have to give me 2 values to say exactly this is not sufficient. So guys, what I'm trying to say you right now is no concept, it is no logic. This is purely my observation. And this particular observation is called shortcuts. There is nothing called shortcut that exists in math. It is all your observations. When you do a good number of questions of one type, you by default get to understand how to proceed ahead with this. So when I remove all these points, I'm left with what? 15X plus 29Y is equal to 440. Now, what I have seen in a lot of questions, but this is something which you can't believe on. I'm telling you my observation. What I have seen that if there is one prime number in the equation, there is usually one value of X and Y. So imagine if I put X is equal to 10 over here, Y is equal to 10 over here, I'll get 440. So when I put X is equal to 10, I get this is 150. When I put Y is equal to 10, I get this is 290. That is nothing but 440. It's straightforward. So now, except for this 10 and 10, I can promise you there is no other values of X and Y which will give you 440. Now it's nothing but a hit and trial method, which you will have to do it for yourself. But yeah, this is what my observation that I have seen in a lot of questions, that if there is one prime number, usually there is only one value of X and Y that satisfies this. So they are asking you what is the value of X, and this statement is sufficient to answer the question because I have just one value of X. Is there any problem here in anyone?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, please tell me.
So what if there is like, for example, let's say if there is 28, like there is no prime number, then what?
There is?
Like there is 28 in
Yeah,
place
then in
of
place
29.
of 29, 28, then you will have to do a hit and trial method, Manan, to find out is there any two other values of X and Y that exist or not. The job is pretty simple, Manan. when you say something is, if it's a what type of a question, okay? And like, let's say when I'm asking you what is value of X. Now option number 1 or option number 2, let's say you are trying to say 15X plus 28Y is equal to 440. They will not give you some random number, be very sure. All I'm trying to say, if it's a what type of a question, you are trying to say me this is not sufficient. You should give me 2 different values of X and Y for which this equation suffice. That's it. Agreed? Any doubt, man?
No.
If you can give me, it's absolutely not sufficient. But if you can't give me, then you should have to, you will have to consider that one value, these are sufficient. Anyone, any doubt? Gauri, Harendra?
Yeah, Rahul, there's one doubt from my
Yeah,
side.
please
Like,
tell me.
see, it's a simple equation, right? Let
Yeah.
me complicate the numbers. Let's say it's 959x and some random number
Something
in front
right.
of
But
y,
be very
right?
sure that GMAT will never give you such complicated number, Harin. And if they give you, it will be a very straightforward calculations. Trust me. Like imagine you do exactly the same type of a question as question number 12. You can form your own numbers in your head, but trust me, it will not be like that. Whatever number they give you will be very straightforward. And I'll tell you how should you get that number also, previous question. Right now, you take 2 minutes and do question number 12, please. I'll come down to your question, Harin, 100%. Question number 12, what's the answer? Fast, please. Okay. So this is pretty simple one, right? It says here, Malta bought several pencils. If each pencil was 23-cent pencil, let's say 23 cent was X pencil, 21 cent was Y pencil. Y number of 21-cent pencil, X number of 23-cent pencil. The question is how many 23-cent pencil, let's say Y. It means what is the value of X? Simple logic. Option number 1 says you what? Say about total of 6 pencils. So X plus Y is equal to 6. I can say X could be 1 plus 5, 2 plus 4. 2 different values of X, I can straight away say this is not sufficient. Simple logic. Second says the total value of the pencil Marta bought was 130. So imagine this is nothing but 23x plus 21y is equal to 130, right? Now, here I can say that this is a prime number, but please understand, Harin, that the number in GMAT exam will be such thing. They will not give you 955, 967 and all. Be very sure about it. They will not give you at all a number where you need your calculative power. Absolutely no. The numbers would be such. Now imagine here you put X is equal to 2. What you get? 3 into 2, 6. 2 into 2, 4. Now, if you put here y is equal to 4, what do you get? 4 ones are 4, 4 twos are 8. This is 130. Now, this is 2 and this is 4. There is no other value of X and Y except 2 and 4, which will give you 130. Now, it's my observation that this is a prime number. I'm absolutely not trying to say that this is a logic or this is a concept. You have to develop your own observation. So initially, you'll have to do hit and trial method for sure. There's no other way at all. There's no methods that there is no a certain way that this is a number that you will have in your head and those numbers will fit in. No, absolutely no. Is this clear, Haren?
But
Yeah,
Rahul, hidden
yeah,
trial
but
also takes, like, it kills a lot of time, right? This
exactly, that was what I was coming to, that it initially maybe it takes a lot of time, maybe then
But
you
in
get used to it.
later it will not take, because see, I'll tell you, it will never take a time. Why? In this question also, it should never take a time. But again, you will have to be a little smart enough. I don't want to say you all these things right itself, because it might be a sort of a confusion for you all. But I'll tell you, always remember one thing, guys. In GMAT, the data sufficiency questions are never, in data sufficiency question, the statements never ever contradict each other. Never ever. Now, what exactly you mean by that? I don't want to say you all these things right now. In later on, you will get to understand by yourself. So what do you mean by statement never contradict each other? What is, imagine the question is, what is value of X? You have statement number one something, you have statement number two something. Imagine from statement number one, you get X is equal to 20 and you say the answer is sufficient. If at all statement number two is sufficient, you will still get X is equal to 20 only. It would never happen that statement number two will give you X is equal to 30 and the answer is sufficient. If at all you combine and try to get the answer, it will still be X is equal to 20. It will never be X is equal to 30 and you say that it is sufficient. So two statements in data sufficiency never contradict each other. Just because of that reasoning, what I could do in this question is, in question number 4, that I'll straight away, option number 1 is what? X is equal to Y. Option number 2 is nothing but 23x plus 29y is equal to 440. I will straight away combine these two statements to get the value of X and Y. If you combine these two statements, you will get X is equal to 10, Y is equal to 10. Now what I'll do is that I'll go in statement number 1, I'll put these values alone and you will have the answer. Now I'll just simply try and think that is there any other number that works for me or not. So these things will never be complicated at all. You don't have to understand what right now I said you. Later part you will understand by default. But yes, Gauri, initially it will take time for sure. You will have to do hidden trial method. There is no doubt about it. There is no fixed way that this is how you think and the number will come to your head. No, it varies from a person to person. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yep.
So guys, this was just to show you how to solve a data sufficiency problem, because there are just two type of a problem, S type, what type, that's it. Now let's go ahead and start a bit of inequalities. So all these particular questions that I have told you, all these questions will be covered in the respective chapter. I just wanted to show you how to approach a data sufficiency, because when we are going to right now do inequalities, absolute value number system, the number of questions in form of a data sufficiency from these chapters are too high. So that's the place you should not bother me, ki Rahul, why not B, why not C? If B is not, it means if it's a S type of a problem, there is a yes or no situation. That's the reason B is not the answer. If C is not the answer, it's a S type of a question, there is a yes or no situation. If it's a what type of a question, it is not sufficient when you have two different values of X. I hope it's making sense. Anyone, any doubt in the type of a question or any place how to mark answer A, B, C, D? Anyone? So that we go and start the inequality chapter. Abhishek, it's all clear now? Avneet, Hinduja,
Yeah. also-
Yes, sir.
Shreya, all
Sir,
clear?
I have a doubt.
Yeah, please tell me.
For the pencil, one question, you have said that X and Y value, it can be equal also if it's
One
not
second,
mentioned.
one second. Yeah. With the pencil, one question.
Yes, sir.
Yep, tell me.
It can be equal also, no, sir, if it's not mentioned.
Yeah, because Mata bought 6 pencils, so X plus Y is equal to 6. It could be 1 plus 4. It could be 3 plus 1 plus 5. It could be 3 plus 3. But why I'm trying to do this? Because my job is what? What is my question? What is the value of X, right, Farid?
Yes, sir.
And I've got here two different values, so I can just say not sufficient. I don't care. It could be anything. It could be 1, 5, 4, 2, 3, 3, whatever. But my job, my intention is to have two different values of X. I've got two different values of X. I can straight away say not sufficient and move to other statements. Agreed?
Okay. Okay.
Is this clear?
Yes.
Rahul, what's the answer sheet going to look like? As in, where do you mark your answers and how are you giving in your answers?
No, answer sheet will be exactly same thing. So let's say this is the question, right?
No, as in you're writing below these.
Means?
When you're submitting your paper,
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking. How are you writing your answers?
No, you will get a rough sheet to mark this, and you will have 5 columns. A. So let's say if this is the.
There will be options which you'll tick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
So in data sufficiency, you will have 5 options, A, B, C, D. You just have to tick one option.
All right.
In problem solving, you will have 5 options and all the places answers will be written. Whatever you want, you just take it off.
Is it
Just
like that
ensure
for-
that Whenever there is a question in two statement, it means it's a data sufficiency problem. It will be written there also, but you don't have to read and waste your time to understand that this is a data sufficiency question. You have one question, two statement. By default, it should click in your head that it's a question of a data sufficiency. I need to mark answer A, B, C, D, E, where A says statement number 1 alone is sufficient. B says statement number 2 alone is sufficient. C says 1 plus 2. But you can only come down to C when you are 100% sure that 1 alone is not sufficient, B alone is not sufficient. What happens in C trap problem? That you look into these two statements and you will feel that C should be the answer. But if you go dive deep into it, you will say that statement number 1 and B alone are giving you answer sometime. So if the statement is individually giving you the answer, you are not supposed to combine. Simple logic. And D says statement 1 alone and statement 2 alone, both are sufficient to answer the question. E says none of these. This question cannot be answered with the help of these two statements. Agreed? Anyone, any doubt? Please tell me.
No, Rahul, all clear.
Yeah, just one question.
Yeah, Avnit, tell
In
me.
case there is no prime number in the equation, like is
Then you will have to do a hit and trial method of it.
like just have you seen such questions in GMAT often?
Yep. So if there is a no prime number, you quickly do a hit and trial method. It might be a possibility that it is not sufficient. You will have two values of X and Y.
Okay, got it.
There is no way at all. If there is no prime number, even if there is a prime number, initially you should please do hit and trial method for yourself, because this was my observation, guys. This has nothing to do with you until you bring up your own observations by solving some 20-30 problem. And I'll tell you how to solve such more problems. That also I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you.
So now let's start with inequality. The first chapter of a math is supposed to be a tricky one, but if you understand it conceptually, it's a easy chapter, I can tell you. So let's say this is inequality. One of the very important chapter, guys. So tell me, x is equal to 5 means what? This is called equation. This is the value of x. X is equal to 5 is nothing but called value of x. If I say you x greater than equal to 5, what this x greater than equal to 5 or x greater than 5, what does this mean? These are inequality equations. And x greater than 5 means what? Or x greater than 5 means what? These are called range of x. Please understand the difference between range and value of x. Value of x means what? X is equal to 5. Done and dusted. Nothing else at all. But when you say me x is greater than equal to 5 or x is greater than 5, it means it's a range of x. X can take any number from 6 to infinity or 5 to infinity. So this is called range of x. This is not the value of x. So in inequality, be very sure, guys, signs of variables are extremely important. Extremely important. Now, what do you mean by signs of variables are very important? Because inequality simple means greater than, equal to, less than equal to. This is what is inequality for you. In inequality chapter, signs of variables are very important. What exactly you mean by this? So imagine if I say you minus x, what exactly this means? Tell me. A lot of people say the x is negative, but do you think is the right answer? Minus x doesn't mean x is negative. Please be very sure. Minus x simple means that minus and this x are two different elements. And these are extremely important. Never, if it is written minus xy, your job is not to think that x and y are negative. No, it's a three different element. Minus is other element, x is other element, y is other element. So what do I mean by saying two different elements? So imagine in case of minus x, I don't know anything about sign of x, right? Imagine if x is equal to -5, then minus x will become positive number. Imagine if x is equal to 10, then minus x will become a negative number, that is -10. So do not at all say that minus x means x is negative. This is a recipe to disaster, a very complex problem. If these things are clear, the problem will never be complex for you. The problem gets complex for you because these small things are not clear. So never ever think that minus x means x is negative. No, x is a variable. You are not sure about the sign of variable. That's why I've told you sign of variables in inequality or in algebra is extremely important. Very important. Anywhere you are seeing it is written 3x plus 2y. It doesn't mean 3x plus 2y will give you a positive value at all. Until you don't know what is the value of x and y, you can't say. Imagine I say you x is equal to -100 and y is equal to 5. Then 3x plus 2y will give you a negative value. So always ensure that if there is no thing given in the question that x is positive or negative, you are not supposed to think anything about from your head. that this variable is positive or negative. Minus xy simple means minus xy, three different elements. Now the value of minus xy, the sign of minus xy will depend on the sign of x and y. Imagine if x is negative, y is positive, minus xy will give you a positive number. Imagine if x is also negative, y is also negative, minus xy will give you a negative value. So all I'm trying to say is do not at all think that minus x means negative, minus xy means negative. No, you are not sure about the values of x and y. So imagine if I say you xy greater than 0, what does this mean? It simple means sign of x and y are same. Is this clear? Anyone, any doubt? If I say you xy less than 0, what does this mean? Sign of xy, x and y are opposite. Anyone, any problem, please tell here. Xy greater than 0 simple means x and y are of same sign. Xy less than 0 simple means x and y are of opposite sign. So imagine, now I bit trick you a bit. Imagine if I say you x minus a into x minus b greater than 0. It means imagine if I say you x minus 5 into x minus 10 greater than 0. What do you mean by this? What exactly this means? Please tell. You can keep your mic open and tell me if there is no background noise.
They both or negative.
So tell, what's the issue? X is less than 5 or x is greater than 10. I'll explain it very well, but just tell me, is this the one or not? What do you mean by x minus a into x minus b greater than 0? Can I say you x is less than a or x is greater than b? I'm just trying to generalize that a is a smaller element and b is a bigger element. Simple logic. Is this clear? But what do you mean by this? What exactly is this? X, come down to this statement. X minus 5 into x minus 10 greater than 0. I'm trying to say okay, x is less than 5 and x is greater than 10. What exactly this means? What is this?
Yes, Rahul. It means that x will not lie between 5 and 10.
That's a very diplomatic answer, Abhishek.
It basically says x be greater than 0. If you like.
We can float it
Oh.
on number line, sir.
Yeah,
Also,
Yeah.
fine. But x less than 5, I mean, both the variables will give the minus negative values and
Imagine if I simple ask you, x is equal to 36 and x is equal to plus 6 or minus 6. What is this plus 6 or minus 6? This is called solution of the equation. And what do you mean by solution of the equation? That when you put this back into the x square is equal to 36, sorry. So solution of equation means that when you put this back values into the equation, your LHS will be equal to RHS. Check. When I put x is equal to 6 here, 6 square is equal to 36, or I put minus 6 square is equal to 36. So when you solve the equation, you get a values. So imagine if you solve x square is equal to 64. What will you get values? You will get x is equal to plus 8 or minus 8. So what is this plus 8 or minus 8? This plus 8 or minus 8 are called solution of the equation. That when I plug this value back into the equation, my equation should satisfy. LHS should be equal to RHS. When I put x is equal to 8, 8 square is equal to 64. When I put x is equal to minus 8 square is equal to 64. So these are equations. So please understand, guys, this is no formula. Be very sure this is no formula. This is solution of the equation. Solution of equation means what? That now you put any value of x less than 5 back into the equation. Your equation should suffice. 100% it should suffice. Now imagine if I put x is less than 5. Let's say I put x is equal to 4. 4 minus 5 is what? Minus 1. Into 4 minus 10 is what? Minus 6. So minus 1 into minus 6 is greater than 0. Simple logic. You put any value of x greater than 10, this equation should satisfy. Take any value of x greater than 10, doesn't matter at all. For one value of this equation does not suffice, it means our solution is wrong. This is what exactly it means. It is no formula. And how have you come down to this? So there is a very straight way of generalizing this entire equation, and that generalization is this. That x minus a into x minus b greater than 0, x is less than a, x is greater than b. If you want to solve it, we can solve it as well. I'll just show you by solving, but you don't have to solve it essentially. So see here, my equation is what? X minus 5 into x minus 10 greater than 0. Now, how do I solve it? Pretty simple logic. This is a, imagine, and this is b. AB greater than 0 means what, guys? A and B are of opposites. A and B are of same sign. So now I'll have to take two cases. Case one, when x minus 5, that if a is greater than 0, a is what? X minus 5. Then b should be greater than 0, that is x minus 10 should be greater than 0. Simple logic. Now, if x minus 5 greater than 0, that is if x is greater than 5, then x should be greater than 10. Absolutely simple. Now imagine this is 5 and this is 10. So x greater than 5. I'll take this value. X greater than 10. I'll take this value. What is the common value? X greater than 10. Now, take case number 2. That if x minus 5, that is if a is less than 0, b should be less than 0. What is it? X minus 5 is less than 0. Then x minus 10 should be less than 0. So x should be less than 5. Then x should be less than 10. Now check here, put a number line. This is 5, this is 10. X less than 5, this is the number. And x less than 10. So what is my common value? X less than 5. Now see, I've got x less than 5, x greater than 10. But do you really feel you need to do these cases every time? No. There is generalized method of writing. That is nothing but if x minus a into x minus b is greater than 0, it means x is less than a or x is greater than b. A is a smaller element and b is a bigger element. So imagine I give you some other number. Imagine if I give you a number, what do you mean by x minus 10 into x plus 20 greater than 0? Do not start solving it that if a is greater than 0, b is greater than 0. Absolutely no. Just look into this. Your job is to first convert it into form of x minus a into x minus b. So imagine x minus 10 into x minus of minus 20 greater than 0. Now what is this? Is this form of x minus a and x minus b? Now tell me, which one is a smaller entity? A is what? 10. B is what? Minus 20. Between minus 10 and minus 20, which is the smaller entity? Between 10 and minus 20.
Minus 20.
It means simple. The solution to this equation will be x is less than minus 20 or x is greater than 10. This means what? This means that if you put any number x less than minus 20 or x greater than 10 in this equation should satisfy. It should give you x minus 10 into x plus 20 is greater than 0. Anyone, any doubt? Now, can you please speak me once x plus 5 into x plus 15 greater than 0? Can you tell me what is the solution? Please tell. Fast.
X less than minus 15 or x greater than
minus 5.
X greater than minus 5. Always ensure you have to convert it into form of x minus a into x minus b greater than 0. Remember that minus and a are two different elements. Minus and b are two different elements. And x should be less than a should be the smaller element, or x should be greater than b. You don't have to get into the derivation part of it. If you know how to write it beautifully, it's absolutely done. And this is important. It'll be used a lot in the question. That's why I'm putting so much of focus on this. I hope it's clear. So what we did, that if x minus a into x minus b is greater than 0, x is either less than a or x is greater than b. If I say you, if x minus a into x minus b is less than 0, what does this mean? The simple means x lies between a and b. A is a smaller element and b is a bigger element again. So what does this mean? If I say you simple, that x minus 5 into x minus 10 is less than 0. It simple means x lies between 5 and 10. Please understand these are no formulas, guys. Absolutely no formula. These are solution of the equation. So when I say x minus 5 into x minus 10 less than 0, x lies between 5 and 10. What exactly does it mean? It means you put any value of x here, this equation should satisfy. You put any value. Let's say put 4. 4 minus 5 is what? Minus 1. Sorry, not 4. 6 you can put. No, x lies between 5 and 10. You put 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. 6 minus 10 is minus 4. This is less than 0. Any value you put which lies between 5 and 10 here, and you should get less than 0. If you don't get this, it means our solution is wrong. So this is no formula, guys. Please understand. Just do one question. X minus 10 into x plus 25 less than 0. What will be the value? Please speak.
X lies between minus 20.
Minus 25 and minus 10.
Minus
Not
25
minus
to
10.
10.
Not
That's-
minus
No,
10.
10, 10, 10.
Yeah.
10.
Because this is already in form of x minus a. So x lies between minus 25 and 10. Anyone, any problem? Gauri, Shreya?
No, no, I'm clear.
Ansha?
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Rahul, if you have
Yeah.
to solve this, not the x minus 10, the x minus a into x minus b less than 0.
Hmm.
Right?
So
Then
a b less than 0. Matlab if a is positive, b is negative. If a is negative, b is positive. Take two cases, that's it. But so you can't solve with the variable. You'll have to put some number there, Shisha.
okay,
They'll
okay.
not ask you variable is just to generalize it. Okay, this is how it should look upon to you.
So then if you solve it, then it will
So
be
imagine if it is
minus
x minus 5 into x minus 10 less than 0 you are trying to solve. So let's say this is a and this is b, a b less than 0. So आपका case 1 will be when a is positive, b is negative. Case 2 you can make when a is negative and b is positive. Simple.
Okay, got it.
That's it. Nothing else. But you don't have to solve it at all. You can do it for your own sake, just to understand it well. But you
Okay.
don't have to. Now imagine, guys. Imagine if I say you x square greater than x. What do you mean by this? What exactly this means? X square greater than x. So if such variables or such equations are written anywhere in the question paper, you are not supposed to get mum at all. Your simple job is to think when is the condition possible. Whenever you see any equations in algebra, please understand, do not at all get mum, do not at all get dull. Your job is to think when is the condition possible. I'll tell you what do you mean by this. When is the condition possible? I'm telling you, if you understand this line well, when is the condition possible? Your algebra question, your algebra solving will become 80% easier. People don't think, people just get panic. But it is nothing. When is the condition possible means what? For what value of x this is possible? Imagine I take x is equal to 0. Do you think x square greater than x? No. Imagine if I take x is equal to 1. Do you think x square greater than x? No. But if I take any value greater than 1, imagine if I take x is equal to 2. 2 square is greater than 2. Yes. 4 is greater than 2. If I take 3, 9 is greater than 3. If I take 4, 16 is greater than 4. So this is 100% possible for all the values x greater than 1. Agreed? But this is also possible for all the negative values x less than 0. You have to always think in both the terms. When x is positive, when x is negative, you cannot think in only one term. So if it is written to you, x square greater than x, it's pretty simple. You just think that when is the condition possible for this? For what value of x this condition is possible? So if it is written to you in the question x square greater than x, your simple logic is that x could be greater than 1, x could be less than 0. It means they are defining you this range. They are just trying to define you the range. If in a question it is written statement number 1 this, it means what? It simple means that you are allowed to take value of x which is greater than 1. You are allowed to take the value of x which is less than 0. That's it. And imagine if this is something which you could not understand. Let's say sometime it happens that it doesn't click in your head that Rahul, what exactly is this? So any such equations we get in the exam or in the question paper, my job is what? Simple to solve it. How do I solve it? If I'm asking you to solve this particular equation, it's an equality equation. How will you solve it? Do you think that you can do this x and x cancel and say x is greater than 1? Is this right or wrong? Tell. Is this right or wrong? It's 100% wrong. 100%. If you cut all these things, it's all gone for the toss. Until it is not explicitly mentioned to you in the question that x is positive number, this is impossible thing for you to, you should not cut the variables. If it is mentioned to explicitly to you in the question that x is positive, only then you cut the variables or not. Don't cut and cross multiply. Imagine if it is written x greater than 1 by x. You doing x square greater than 1 is absolutely wrong till it is very much clearly explicitly mentioned to you in the question that x is positive. You just should not be doing it for sure. Now, if you can't do this, what you should do? You can always transpose the variable from one end to other. Always. That is anything. That is in any case possible, whether it is given to you, not given to you, doesn't matter at all. But you can always transpose the variable. Imagine, so I can transpose, I can bring this variable to this side, x square minus x greater than 0. x square minus x greater than 0 means what? X into x minus 1 greater than 0. What does this mean? This means that x minus 0 into x minus 1 greater than 0. Now imagine x minus a into x minus b greater than 0 means what? X is less than 0 or x is greater than 1. And this is exactly the same thing we have got by thinking when is the condition possible, for what value of x this is possible. That is x is greater than 1 or x is less than 0. So whether you solve or whether you think, eventually both the solutions will be same. You will be getting the same result. Now it's up to you to go ahead and solve this and get this x less than 0 or x greater than 1. Or it's up to you to just think when is the condition possible. The whole point is that when you are thinking when is the condition possible, do think in terms of positive and negative both. Why I have told you x square greater than x, if you cut it and you say x is greater than 1, it means now you are only thinking for a positive value of x. You didn't even think of a negative value of x, and that's the reason you should not cut. Whenever you see a variable in the question, guide, and if it is nowhere explicitly mentioned to you in the question, your entire solution, your entire approach to that question should be by thinking in both the ways. The x could be positive, what would happen? X could be negative, what would happen? Or y could be positive, what would happen? Y could be negative, what would happen? Do never ever just think for a positive value. I have seen a good number of people doing these mistakes. Good number of people, they straight away say this is x is greater than 1. Obviously, x is greater than 1. That's 100% true. For x greater than 1, all the values of x greater than 1 will satisfy this. But this will also be satisfied for the value of all x greater than less than 0, for all the negative value of x. And if you leave the negative thought, but the negative values stuff, then it's all over. You are doing half question. In the same way, if I say you x square greater than x, less than x, it means nothing. X square minus x is less than 0. X into x minus 1 is less than 0. That is nothing but x minus 0 into x minus 1 is less than 0. So x lies between 0 and 1. It means that for x between this x square less than x is only possible for the values of x that lies between 0 and 1. If you put x is equal to 2, imagine, it won't lie, because you can't say that 2 square is less than 2, Rahul. This is not possible. If you put x is equal to 1, you can't say 1 square is less than 1. Not possible. You have to put a fractional value of x that lies between 0 and 1. Only then it is possible. Imagine I take half. Now half square is surely less than half, because half square becomes 1 by 4. 1 by 4 is less than half. It's pretty simple if you think in terms of number. It is not tough at all. Absolutely not tough. Should I complicate it a bit? Can you please do x cube greater than x? Please try and solve it. Don't think about when is the condition possible. You can straight away tell me, Rahul, x is greater than 1. Now for x greater than 1, this suffices for all the value, but it also suffices for some negative value. So please solve it. You think when is the condition possible? Only when it's a quadratic equation or it's a linear equation. If the equation is fractional, if the equation is cubic or 4 times, 5th time, it is always better to solve it. So can you please solve this? Let me see. Take your time, no rush. Absolutely no rush. Take your time.
Rahul, it could be x greater than 0 and less than -1.
This x lies between -1 and 0. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Take 2 minutes, guys. Just solve anything. Whatever you get, that's absolutely fine. Nothing to worry about. Let it be wrong, but please do try. Perfect. Perfect. So see here, it's simple. The solution is pretty simple. You don't have to let it get complicated. You should not worry about it at all. It's simple, says xq minus x is greater than 0. Now, if I take x common, x square minus 1 is greater than 0. And a lot of people does here x square minus 1, they break into x minus 1 into x plus 1. But again, it comes to be ABC greater than 0. Now, the formation of number of cases here will be too high. And we have just read AB greater than 0. So why not bifurcate here itself? Let's say this is A and this is B. Now, AB greater than 0 means we have two situations. Case 1, if x is greater than 0, then x square minus 1 is also greater than 0. Simple logic. And if x square minus 1 is greater than 0, it means what? X minus 1 into x plus 1 is greater than 0. Now, this is same thing. X minus a into x minus b greater than 0 means what? X is less than a and x is greater than b. So here it is minus 1. Can I say x is less than negative 1 or x is greater than 1? That's it. Now, please plot it into a number line. Let's say this is 0, this is minus 1, this is 1. Now, x greater than 0, first situation. Take it over here. Now, second situation is x is less than negative 1, x is greater than 1. X is greater than 1, this, x is less than negative 1 is this. What is the common value? X greater than 1. That's it. Now, case 2 would be what? That if x is a is less than 0, p should also be less than 0. That is, if x is less than 0, then x square minus 1 is also less than 0. And x square minus 1 is what? X minus 1 into x plus 1 less than 0. So x minus 1 into x plus 1 less than 0 means what? X lies between negative 1 and positive 1. That is straightforward. X minus a into x minus b less than 0. I hope it's clear. Now just plot it into number line. This is 0. This is minus 1. This is 1. X less than 0 first. This is x is less than 0. Second says x lies between negative 1 and 1. So take it over here. So what is my common value? X lies between negative 1 and 0. So it is said that if xq is greater than x, either x can be greater than 1 or x would lie between negative 1 and 0. It means what? That this equation will suffice for all the values where x is greater than 1. And this equation will also suffice for all the values when x lies between negative 1 and 0. Is this clear to everybody?
Yes.
Gauri, Shreya,
Yes.
Yeah, it's clear.
Induja, Niranjan, Manan, is this clear?
Yes, Rahul.
Yes, Rahul, it is.
Scroll up once.
Yeah, I'll show. It's all recorded. I'll send you the entire recording of the class after the class.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send you the entire recording of the class. Don't worry.
Got it.
You will have a recording of all your classes. Perfect. Now let's come down to one different point.
I have a doubt, sir, in this
Yeah,
question.
please tell me.
We can take it in one go also. Like the simplification for this x cube minus x would be x minus 1 and x plus 1.
Yeah,
We
that's
can
what.
plot them in a one go and can find the answer. I
You can
think.
100% do it, but a lot of people, what do they do here is that they start making the entire, they go by conservative method, that if A is greater than 0, B is greater than 0, C is greater than 0. Or you can say if A is negative, B is negative, C is positive, then again this is possible. Or you can say A positive, B negative, C negative. So a lot of people starts going into all the cases. So it's better that you do it in two cases, A, B greater than 0 less. But yeah, what you're saying is right. That's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Agreed?
Yes.
So the next comes is even powers cannot be predicted. Very important from the question perspective. Even powers cannot be predicted. What do you mean by this? What does this mean? Imagine if I say you, if x is greater than y, can you for sure tell me x square will be greater than y square? I've just given you x is greater than y. Can you be extremely sure to say that x square will also be greater than y square? Please tell. No.
No.
Imagine 10 is greater than 20. Sorry, 10 is greater than 5. You can say 10 square is greater than 5 square, absolutely fine. But imagine 10 is also greater than negative 20. Can you say 10 square greater than negative 20 square? So this is a yes situation, this is a no situation. So if it is given to you in a variable term that if A is greater than B, A square greater than B square, we cannot predict this. We cannot predict this. Until we are sure about values of x and y. Simple logic. How the problem will be asked, I'll tell you. Let me first tell you all this stuff. Now, but what we have made that even powers cannot be predicted is a very harsh statement. So it should be followed with every particular even powers. Imagine if I say you, if x is greater than y square, if x is greater than y square, can you actually say me x is greater than y? X could be greater than y or x could be less than y as well. You cannot say that if x is greater than y square, x will be greater than y, Rahul. No. There are cases where x could be less than y as well, and x is still greater than y square. Because we have made some very harsh statement that even powers cannot be predicted. So let's see over here. If x is greater than y square, x greater than y, or x is less than y. Now check here. If I take x is equal to imagine 10, y is equal to 2. Can I say 10 is greater than 2 square? And 10 is greater than 2 as well. That is x is greater than y. Imagine if I take a situation where I take x is equal to, let's say 1 by 3 and y is equal to half. Can I say 1 by 3 is greater than half square? But 1 by 3 is technically less than half. That is x is less than y. Check here. So what exactly we did? Check here. X is greater than y square and x greater than y. See here, x is greater than y square and x is less than y. So we say even powers are not predicted. You cannot say that if x is greater than y square, x will be always greater than y. No, it may not be. Now come down to the third statement. If I say you if x square is greater than y, because we know that even powers cannot be predicted, I can still say x could be greater than y or x could be less than y. Simple logic. Imagine if I take x is equal to 5, y is equal to 4. Can I say 5 square is greater than 4? And 5 is technically greater than 4. Obviously, 25 is greater than 4 and 5 is greater than 4. That is x is greater than y. Now imagine a number you take x is equal to, let's say 3, y is equal to 4. Can I still say 3 square is greater than 4? Obviously, 9 is greater than 4. But 3 is technically less than 4. So x is less than y. Now again, you can check here. X square is greater than y over here. X is greater than y. X square is greater than y over here. But x is less than y. Be very sure. Now, imagine how the question would come. Imagine if I give you a question is x greater than y? My option number 1 says x square is greater than y. Option number 2, imagine if I write the equation root of y greater than root of x greater than y. Oh. Less than 1. Can you please try take 2 minutes for this question? It's pretty simple question because just we have done even powers cannot be predicted. So moment you have one question, two statement, your answer should be in form of A, B, C, D, E. I think my question is right. Yeah, it's right. Please try. Take 2 minutes. What we did just now, the question is based on the same logic. So quick, Srisha. No. If you do so quickly, it will be wrong for sure. You have to give some respect to the question, please. Respect the question, question will respect you. Simple logic. B got it wrong. Try again. E. Perfect. So see here. It says that x square is x greater than y. X square greater than y. So if x square is greater than y, I can for sure have x greater than y or x less than y. I've just given you the numbers. You can prove it. That let's say x can be 5, y can be 4. 5 square is greater than 4, 5 greater than 4. That is x is greater than y. X could be 3, y is equal to let's say 4. 3 square is still greater than 4. And 3 is technically less than 4. That is x is less than y. Simple logic, right? So this is not sufficient. Agreed? Anyone, any doubt? Shreya, Manan, clear?
Yeah.
Now let's say option number 1 is not sufficient. Look into option number 2 now. So option number 2, if I square, because don't play with roots and all, please. Never ever play with roots. Square both the sides. If you square both the sides, what happens? X is less than y square. That is nothing but y square is greater than x. It is exactly the same thing. Like y square greater than x means what? Y could be greater than x or y could be less than x. So this is not sufficient at all because I'm not getting a confirm x is greater than y or not. At this place also x could be greater, y could be greater than x, but y could be less than x. So this is not sufficient. Now we have two statements. Now, please understand. So this is very quick for you to understand. I'll clear this in the class, in the next class. How should you combine the equations? So guys, if any two equations is given, the combination of that equation is what? To solve those equations. That's it. My first equation is x is greater than y. My second equation is y square greater than x. How do I solve it? Now, either I add or subtract, do whatever you want. Like I love adding. So I'll say x square plus y square is greater than x plus y after addition. Now x square plus y square is greater than x plus y. Imagine if I take x is equal to 4, y is equal to 3. Am I getting x square plus y square greater than x plus y? Check. 4 square plus 3 square, 16 plus 9 is actually greater than 4 plus 3. So in this case, x is greater than y. Now imagine if I take x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 4. Am I still getting x square plus y square greater than x plus y? Please check. Yeah, 3 square plus 4 square, that is 9 plus 16 is greater than 3 plus 4. So here x is less than y. So just by knowing is x greater than y, just by knowing the two statement x square greater than y and y square greater than x, because this statement is nothing but y square greater than x, I can't predict that x will be greater than y for sure. So if A is not sufficient, B is not sufficient, C is not sufficient, then answer goes to E. This question cannot be answered with the help of these two statements. Anyone, any doubt, please tell me. Induja, is this clear? Avnit?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the second option. So I tried playing with the roots only here.
No, please, no. Should not. Do not at all try and play with the roots, ever. You will have to be really, really good in taking numbers if you try and play with the roots. Really good in taking numbers. So that will happen slowly, Avnit. Don't do that now.
Okay.
Jay, Niranjan, is this clear?
Yes, Rahul.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just there is one doubt.
Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, you like it's written even power cannot be predicted. So like odd power also, some of the odd power cannot be predicted, right?
In terms of if there it is not given that x is an integer and all that. If it is given that x is an integer, y is an integer, odd power will be predicted for sure.
Yeah.
If it is
Without
not given
knowing-
that they are integers, then it can't be predicted. That's
Yeah.
fine. But if it is given that x is an integer, y is an integer, then odd powers are 100% predicted. Okay?
Yeah.
Anyone, any doubt? So we have almost done all the concepts of inequalities. Now let's come down to this place. And based on this, we can also say that imagine, based on what we have done, if I say you, if A is greater than B, can you actually very confirmly say me that AM is greater than BM? Can you say me this? Think.
Yes, absolutely.
How? You don't do the
Like
sign of
you're multiplying with
variable.
the same sign, right? Same value on the both sides.
How does it matter? If it's
No,
imagine
sir, we
greater
cannot
than 5.
confirmably say.
If 10 is greater than 5, then 10 cross 2 is greater than 5 cross 2, right?
Yes.
But 10 cross negative 2 is not greater than 5 cross negative 2. Think.
Okay.
So if A is greater than B, AM is greater. Always remember, whenever any variable is written in the question, but in algebra, it's all about variable, game of variable. You just have to keep one thing in your head that you cannot ensure. Your thought process should never be thinking that you solve the entire question by thinking that variable is positive. Absolutely no. Do think of the negative terms also, and it will be things will be by default clear to you. So if A is greater than B, AM is greater than BM, we cannot predict this. Until we are sure about value of M. Simple logic. Pretty simple. Is this agreed? Now look into point number 1, key concept. What we did right now, A greater than B, AM is greater than BM, we cannot predict this. Exactly the same thing. Please check. Is this understood? Point number 2 says nothing to you guys. Point number just 2 says that when we solve the question, I'll try my best to solve 80% of questions algebraically. Because when you solve it algebraically, you exactly get to confirm your answer very properly. But there are some 20% of a question which cannot be solved until you take numbers. And trust me, it's not tough. Initially, it may sound a bit tough, but it is not tough at all. So they are trying to say in point number 2 at all that if you solve some questions, what are the numbers what are the values that you should be taking to solve for that particular equation? But please understand, there is no particular way to take values. I'll tell you how to take values for sure. But again, it's all about how exactly you think. The whole point is that when you take values, values should be taken with respect to question. You can't take some random values. We'll do this point when we solve the question. Don't worry. This point is simply telling that when you are taking values, these are the normal values that you should be taking. That's it. Nothing else at all. Point number 3, please check. Is this clear or not? X minus a into x minus b less than 0 means simple x lies between a and b. X minus a into x minus b greater than 0. X lies outside of a and b. We have done already. Point number 4, x square greater than x means what? X could be either greater than 1 or x could be less than 0. Point number 5 says x square less than x means what? X lies between 0 and 1. X square is equal to x means what? X is either 0 or 1. Now don't start solving these small equations. Absolutely don't solve that x square minus x is equal to 0, x into x minus 1 is equal to 0. You are not supposed to do all these things. Absolutely no. It's simple. X square is equal to x for what values this is equal? Think about it for yourselves now. It can be only equal when you take x is equal to 0. 0 square is equal to 0. It can only be equal for x is equal to 1. 1 square is equal to 1. So these two values are the definite value. That's it. Even if you solve this equation, you will get exactly 0 and 1. Nothing else you will get. So please here also don't do this x square is equal to x. You are not sure about the sign. So don't cut this and say x is equal to 1. That's crap. This is absolutely crap. You should, until it is explicitly mentioned to you in the question that variable is positive, you are not supposed to cut the variables. You are not supposed to cross multiply the variables. Be very sure. If at all you have to solve this simple equation, just solve it. X square minus x is equal to 0. X into x minus 1 is equal to 0. This is nothing but AB is equal to 0. AB equal to 0 means what? Either A is 0 or B is 0. So I can say either x is equal to 0 or x minus 1 is equal to 0. If x minus 1 is equal to 0, x is equal to 1. So these are the two values. And these are the two values, nothing. You don't have to do this at all. In small equation, just think for what value LHS is equal to RHS. Now this is 0 and 1. That's it. I hope it's clear. Any doubt? Point number 7, point number 6. Come down to point number 7. X cube greater than x. Just we did. Either x could be greater than 1 or x could lie between -1 and 0. Simple. X cube less than x. Please ensure that in your homework you try and solve this. And you should get the answer. Either x lies between 0 or 1 or x is less than -1. If you don't get, do let me know. Point number 9 says x cube is equal to x. Point number 9 and 10 are eventually the same thing. So if x cube is equal to x, for what value is this possible? This is possible for x is equal to 0, 0 q is equal to 0. This is possible for x is equal to 1, 1 q is equal to 1. This is also possible for x is equal to -1, -1 to the power q is equal to -1. So x can be either 0, 1 or -1. Don't start solving it, because it will simply waste your time. Think in terms of for what value LHS is equal to RHS, and those are the normal values that even if you solve, you will get these three values, nothing else at all. I hope it's clear. Point number 11, check. If x is greater than y, it is not necessary that x square is greater than y square. Even powers cannot be predicted. I have shown you in 2 or 3 different ways also. I have shown you in all the possible ways technically. Point number 12. If x is greater than y, it is necessarily true that x cube will be greater than y cube. Odd powers and roots does not change the sign, only in case when x and y are defined as an integer. If it is a fraction, it may not behave in the same way. Now come down to point number 13 or 14. So see here, if I say you xy greater than 0, what does this mean? That x and y are of same sign. Always ensure whenever you look into anything such equations, any equations in algebra, your job is to once do think about the sign of x and y. Do you know what is the sign of x and y over here? No. You just know that they are of same sign. So if xy greater than 0, simple means x and y are of same sign. And that is equivalent to x over y greater than 0. X over y greater than 0 means what? Again, sign of x and y are same. I hope it's clear. Xy less than 0 means x and y are of opposite sign. X by y less than 0 means what? X and y are of opposite sign. Now, here you can actually be a bit tricked. Now imagine when I say x and y, x over y greater than 0, what do you conclude? That x and y are of same sign. But if I tell you x over y greater than 1, now can you please tell me what exactly this means? But the whole point is, when is this condition possible? You have to tell me. That's it. Anyone, please?
X and Y are of same sign? Like,
Same sign in case of 0. In case of when it is greater than 0. Obviously, x over y is greater than 1, they will be of same sign, but it comes with some sort of a condition. Think that?
Y should not be equal to 0.
X should
X
be
should be
greater than
greater
Y.
than y. And y
Absolutely,
should
because
be-
now you will take two
Yeah.
cases over here. Case 1 would be when x and y are positive. Then for x over y to be greater than 1, x should be greater than y. Simple logic. Because you can never say 6 by 10 is greater than 1. No. For this to be greater than 1, numerator should be greater than denominator. Now case 2 is what? When x and y are negative. Then for x over y to be greater than 1, x should be 100% less than y. Because you will say minus 10 by minus 5 is greater than 1. You cannot say minus 5 by minus 10 greater than 1. So in case of negative number, for x over y to be greater than 1, x should be less than y. I hope it's clear. Anyone, any doubt? Any doubt here? So point number 13 and 14 is exactly the same thing. Point number 15 we'll discuss with the question. Don't worry at all. Not now. We'll discuss it while we are doing the question. Now come down to question number 1, guys. Now this is a classy tough problem. I'm saying classy 800 label problem. But the purpose of putting this question here is not to discourage you. Absolutely no. This is one of the most beautiful question where you exactly understand how to solve a data sufficiency question. So let's solve 3-4 questions and then I'll stop the class. I think it's getting too much for all of you. So we'll stop the class, but let's solve at least one question, this question. And this is tough problem. You are not supposed to bother a lot. Absolutely no. Just do whatever you want to do. But this is one of the most beautiful question for you to learn how to solve a data sufficiency question. Trust me. So can you please take 3 to 4 minutes and try doing this? Do whatever you want. It becomes a lot of time. This question becomes hard for a people to understand, Rahul, what exactly the question is. But the only purpose of putting this question over here is to ensure that there will be a beautiful learning for you to solve a data sufficiency question. Please try. So this is a question which you cannot even think of doing anything without taking numbers. So I'll tell you how exactly should you be taking a number over here. So let me make you understand the question. Let you don't break your head in this. So first of all, the question is x to the power 4 plus y to the power 4 is greater than z to the power 4? This is one question. Now, guys, before we go ahead, please understand we have studied two types of question in data sufficiency. We should 100% approach question very strategically. I'll try my best to tell you how you solve the question rather than how you approach a question rather than solving the question. So before we approach the question, there are something that should be kept in your head. Like we have discussed two types of a question, that is this type and what type. Simple logic. Please understand there are two structures of a question that are also asked in the exam. So what are those two structures? The first one is it's a direct question. So for every questions, I'll be telling you it says type, what is the structure of a question. It may be a very direct question. And second is how should we approach a direct question and how should we approach when some information is given to us in the question. When some info is given to us in the question. I can promise you there is not one single data sufficiency question. Let it be from any chapter, because data sufficiency is not any chapter. It's a concept. Question from any chapter could be asked in form of a data sufficiency. But I promise you there will be nothing beyond this. It's either a is type of a question or a what type of a question. And there are two structures of a question that I've told you. It's a direct question or when some information is given to you in the question. So how do we approach a direct question? How do we approach when some information is given to us in the question? Because if there is some information given to us in the question, it is not to beautify the question for sure. 100% this information will be used while we are solving the question. So now onwards, let's understand that for every question that I'll be telling you, okay, what is the type of a question and what is the structure of this question. Now here, the structure of this question is pretty direct. There is no information whatsoever given to you. Please understand when the question becomes tough, this is also when there are more number of variables involved in the question is likely to get tough. And if there is no relation given between those variables, it means question is tough. That's a plain understanding. Now here it is, the question is asking is x4 plus y4 greater than z4. Statement number 1 says x square plus y square is greater than z square. Statement number 2 says x plus y greater than g. So these are the two information. But when I look into the question, it's a pretty direct question. I see there are 3 variables involved in the question. I don't see any relation between any of the variables. It means what? It is a tough question for sure. Now, let's understand the question. Question says us that is x4 plus y4 greater than z4. How do you need to prove this? You need to prove this with the statements that are given to you. So statement number 1 says you ki x square plus y square is greater than z square. Just by knowing that x square plus y square is greater than z square, can you come down to this conclusion that x4 plus y4 is greater than z4? And then statement number 2 says x plus y greater than g. Just by knowing that x plus y is greater than z, can you come down to the conclusion that x4 plus y4 is greater than z4? This is a normal understanding of the question. Please understand, statements in data sufficiency are absolute. Statements in data sufficiency questions are absolute. What do you mean by this? It means that you cannot challenge the statement. Be very sure. You just can't challenge the statement. I'll just show you what exactly I'm trying to do over here. Now, let's solve this particular question. This should be the understanding before you get into the question. It says x4 plus y4 is greater than z4. Is x4 plus y4 greater than z4? My statement number 1 says x square plus y square is greater than z square. We just studied that even powers cannot be predicted. So I can straight away say this is not sufficient, but please do not, I can 100% say this is not sufficient because I have solved some thousands of such questions at all. So to say that even powers are not sufficient when you go to the exam, I just expect from you to, moment you look into this x square plus y square is greater than z square, you can come down to a conclusion even powers are not predicted. So this statement is not sufficient. But to actually say this, there should be a good backup. You cannot simply say even powers are not predicted. The point is you should have an entire backup to say this, why even powers are not predicted. So what exactly this means? Now, when you 100% know this statement is not sufficient, what I've told you, it's a is type of a question. So in this type of a question, if the statement is not sufficient, it means I should have a yes and no situation. So when you are doing this in home, please ensure, do not write all this bullshit stuff that even powers are not predicted, so this is not sufficient. No, you have to solve it properly. Now let's say, now how do I solve it? 3 different variables, no relations between the variables. I don't have any other way except to take values. Trust me. Now imagine I take a value. Now I'm trying to solve statement number 1. I take a value x is equal to 100, y is equal to 100, z is equal to 1. You can take any value. I love taking extreme values. So imagine x is equal to 100, y is equal to 100, z is equal to 1. Don't you feel statement number 1 suffice for these values? Can I say for these values x square plus y square is greater than z square for sure? Can I 100% say this? Tell me. I can 100% say this now. 100 square plus 100 square is greater than 1 square. And for these particular values, I can also say x4 plus y4 is greater than z4. Simple logic. Because 100 to the power 4 plus 100 to the power 4 is surely greater than 1 to the power 4. So I have a yes situation. Now, because now you already know that this is not sufficient, you should give me a no situation as well, right? So what are the values? If someone who has got a no situation, what are the values that you have taken? Can you please tell me? Anyone? Imagine I take here x is equal to 3, y is equal to 3, z is equal to 4. Agreed? Now, whatever value you take, guys, please ensure do not at all alter statement number 1. The statement number 1 should be 100% sufficient because you are trying to prove this question with the help of statement number 1. A lot of people take values. Rahul, I take x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1, z is equal to 10. And I can say, Rahul, 1 to the power 4 plus 1 to the power 4 is not greater than z to the power 4. But do you think you can take these values? Any one of you? You cannot take this value. Why? Because for these values, statement number 1 is not suffice. For this value, x square plus y square is not greater than z square. So you have to take values with the respect of a statement. You can't take your own independent values. You can't say x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1, z is equal to 10. And Rahul, I'll have a no situation. No, that's crap. You just can't do that. Statement number 1 is given to you and statements are absolute in GMAT, in data sufficiency. So we can't challenge this statement. So we have to look for a values for which my statement suffice, but question does not suffice. So imagine if I take x is equal to 3, y is equal to 3, z is equal to 4. I'll tell you how to take values also, don't worry. If I take x is equal to 3, y is equal to 3, z is equal to 4. Now, can I say for this value x square plus y square is greater than z square? My statement number 1 suffice. Check. 9 plus 9, 18. 18 is greater than 16. Agreed? Now, it means that I can take this value. Now, if I put this value into the actual question, do you think x4 plus y4 is greater than z4 for these values? 3 to the power 4 is what? 81 plus 81. 81 plus 81 is 162. Do you think 162 is greater than 4 to the power 4? It is 256. It is not greater. And this is what a no situation that I have. Please tell me here, anyone, any doubt? Anyone, any doubt? Please tell. Induja, Avneet?
Yeah, Rahul, I don't have a doubt, but because you gave the examples, but the logic that I followed was, so I gave the answer A. See, x square plus y square, even if I, kind of square both the sides to get
The
that.
point is, Avneet, if you square both the sides, you are trying to bring one more variable, one more element. That is 2x square, y square. Why
But
you want to do that?
yeah, but that will be in subtraction with z to the power 4, right? So
No, but how do you, but z to the power 4 could be a huge number, no? So even if you are trying to subtract it, you should know what is x and y value. Think about it. You simply can't say ki z4 minus 2x square, y square, so value will reduce, Rahul. No, you have to give me the values actually.
see, the one more reason is, Rahul, because it's already a square, okay? So the value would be positive. So
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. So I've given you a positive value only. No?
yeah.
I've told you that 3 square plus 3 square is greater than 4 square, but 3q plus 3q, imagine. And the difference is huge of it. It is 162 and this is 256. How can you expect that if you reduce 2x square minus y square, it will come less than 162? No,
Right, but
don't do
the
that.
only problem is, Rahul, how will these
I'll
examples?
come down to that point. I'll come down to that point. Don't worry. So now the point is, people actually think that how should I be taking a values, Rahul? Tell me that how the values can be taken. So please understand there is no structured way to take the values. The whole point is that whenever you are taking values, whenever you should try and understand how, with respect to that values, how your question is behaving. You are not supposed to take some random value. Now imagine, how did I take the values? I had to prove x square plus y, x4 plus y4 greater than z4. Proving a yes situation is pretty simple. X100, y100, z1. x4 plus y4 is greater than z4. X square plus y square is greater than z square. Now, please guys understand, I have to create a no situation, right? So if I'm trying to create a no situation, it means what? My value of z4 should be greater than x4 plus y4. Yes or no? Tell me this. If I'm at all, I'm trying to create a no situation, it means my value of g4 should be greater than x4 plus y4. Agreed? Now imagine if you take random values of it, what would happen? You can keep taking any values without understanding. But it will be such a huge problem, because now when you are trying to prove that x4 is greater than, when you are trying to prove that z to the power 4 is greater than x4 plus y4, don't you feel that value of z should be 100% taken more than x and y value? Tell me this. Because if at all you take value of x as 5, how would you ever in your life be able to prove that z4 is greater than x4 plus y4? If you take value of x and y greater than z, you will keep getting a yes situation. So if you take random values, you are not even trying to think if at all you will get a no value or not. You are just taking some random values, doing it. But please understand, if at all you are trying to prove the no situation, the value of g that you took should be greater than value of x and y. Simple logic. And the second thought process should be, now you can 100% tell me, Rahul, g values, I should take more than x and y. So I'll take x is equal to 2, y is equal to 2, z is equal to 10. You can 100% take this values, but please understand, how do you take values? You take values with the help of a statement. If you take 2 to 10, no doubt you can prove a no situation. But for these values, x square plus y square is not greater than z square. So you can't take such value. You have to take only such values where x square plus y square is greater than z square. So that says that whatever value you are taking, the magnitude should be as close possible to as it can be. Imagine if I take a value x is equal to 4, y is equal to 4, z is equal to 5. Now check 4 square plus 4 square. My statement number 1 is being sufficed now. 16 plus 16 is greater than 25, right? But check for x4 plus y4 greater than z4. Imagine 4 to the power 4, 256. This is 256 and this is 625. Now 200, 200, 400, 56, 56, 100 more. So 500 something. And this is 625. So I have a no situation. You can actually take a value 456 as well. It's all up to you. It's all you. The whole point is that basics should be very clear. Why are you taking these values and in what respect are you taking the values? Imagine I take 456. What is 4? Can I 100% say 4 square plus 5 square is greater than z square? That is 16 plus 25 is greater than 36 for sure. Now let's come down to x4, y4. What is 4 to the power 4? 256. What is 5 to the power 4? 625. Now 600 plus 200. This is 800. 56 plus 25. It is not 100 at all. So it is 800 something. Here it is 36 into 36. 13 to 30 is 900. 36 into 36 is greater than 900 for sure, right?
Yeah.
So there are ways that you can take, you can get plenty of values, but the whole point is, guys, you should understand how are you taking values, why are you taking values, and these values you have to always take these values with respect to the question. What exactly we need to do in the question. I hope it's clear. Anyone, any doubt? Manan, Indoja?
I have a doubt also. Is there any other way if we are not comfortable right now in
the point is there are other ways through algebraic you can 100% go like the way Avneet told, square both the sides. But the point is, Ullash, if you square, you are bringing some more complex term in your equation. There is already 3 variables. It is already complex. What you will be doing here, you will be x4 plus y4 plus 2x square y square. Now this is one third element that you are bringing. Why should you? I would say among all the ways to solve this question, taking numbers would be the easiest one. I understand right now it takes time a bit, but please give that time, Ullas. It will be 100% fine, I can tell you. Do not at all worry. I'm not at all asking you why you could not do this question in 2 minutes. You will never be able to do this question in 2 minutes. Neither I'm asking you to do all these things during the exam. In exam, you see here, even powers are not predicted, not sufficient. This is one point enough to say this statement is not sufficient. But to say that, you should have a good backup for yourself, right? And that backup will only come when you solve any question. So any questions you are solving, any questions of his type, and you say something is not sufficient, just for next 2 to 3 months, ensure that you should have a yes situation, you should have a no situation. The question is pretty simple. It's a yes type of a question. The purpose of we solving a yes type of a question is to create a yes or no situation with every statement. No doubt this question is tough, but I have just put this question with only purpose that you get to understand what we do in the question. That's it. Now one is done. Second is, again, you take the same values for second statement. Imagine I take x is equal to 100, y is equal to 100, z is equal to 1. Now for these values, can I say statement number 2 suffice, x plus y greater than z, 100 plus 100 is greater than 1. And my question suffice, x4 plus y4 is greater than z4. That's it. So I have a yes situation here. Now second statement, again, let me take the same values. It will become much easier for us to combine. X is equal to 3, y is equal to 3, z is equal to 4. Can I actually say x plus y greater than z for this? My statement number 2 suffice with these numbers. 3 plus 3, 6 is greater than 4. But x4 plus y4 is not greater than z4. I have a no situation. So this is not sufficient. Simple. Now, because we have taken the same number, so while combination, what exactly can I do? I take x is equal to 100, y is equal to 100, z is equal to 1. Now, for these values, my statement number 1 suffice. That is x square plus y square greater than z square. My statement number 2 suffice, x plus y greater than z. Do my actual question suffice? X4 plus y4 is greater than z4. Now imagine if I take a value again, x is equal to 3, y is equal to 3, z is equal to 4. Statement number 1 suffice because you cannot take a value which goes beyond the scope of statement. The entire learning from this question is understand statements are absolute. Just don't challenge the statement. With the help of a statement, challenge the question. Try to create a yes or no situation if you can. If you are able to create, the statement is not sufficient. If you can't create, if it's only yes or only no situation, then the statement is sufficient. So normal purpose of solving any is type of a data sufficiency question is to create a yes or no situation with every statement. That should be the purpose. Now imagine I took x is equal to 3, y is equal to 3, z is equal to 4. My statement number 1 suffice, x square plus y square is greater than z square. My statement number 2 suffice, x plus y greater than z. But my question, x4 plus y4 greater than z4, this does not suffice at all. So I have a yes situation, I have a no situation. I can say E is the straightforward answer. Now the same question comes to me always, Ki Rahul, how you expect us to do this question in 2 minutes? I don't expect you to do this question in 2 minutes. This will by default happen in 2 minutes, I'm telling you. But right now when you are doing, please use your head. Understand what you are doing, why are you doing? That's it. I'm not asking you to understand anything else at all. Just try to figure out why are you taking some values, the whole point is when I'll try my best, guys, 80% of questions I'll solve algebraically. There are little bit of a question where we can't do anything except taking numbers because this is the easiest way to do this. If you try to do these questions algebraically, you will be screwed up royally, I can tell you. It will be so much of confusion because there are already 3 different variables given to you. If you square or cube something, do some these things you do, you are trying to create one more element. X square, 2x square, y square. Imagine now you have to look for that particular element also. So I would say don't do it. And I promise that 80% of the question I'll solve algebraically. It will be very, very clear to you. But let's wait for some time. Like you should understand how to take numbers as well. Because if these things are clear to you, trust me, algebraically, you will be so efficient that you can't imagine. That I promise you for sure. So I think it's too much for all of you today. Too much. So we'll stop at this place today. Nothing to worry about. So in next class, what we will do is that we'll try to cover almost like 80% of the questions of this chapter, inequalities, in next class. And we can cover the entire thing, considering now you have done the class, you have the entire handout with yourself. Please go work on every question and take your time to do questions. Do not at all worry, Rahul, how it will happen in 2 minutes. You give one question 2 hours. That is all acceptable. But don't worry about timings right now. Worry about timings in the latter part when you are conceptually very clear. Right now, you're not supposed to worry about timings at all. So let's stop today. I think it's getting too much. Now, tomorrow we'll be doing sentence correction first class. Okay? I request you do not study anything in the morning. Please do not study anything in the morning. I have told you very clearly to study SC rules. Question number 1, 2, even 13 you study, I'm happy with it. Because there are some people who have just inquired 2-3 days before, so you might not be able to study the entire stuff. So SC rules question number 1 to 13, whatever you want to study, you study today in the evening. But tomorrow before the class, do not study. If you study, I'll not be responsible. You will come with a lot of, you will be completely messed up in the class because it's extremely important class, extremely. Your entire sentence correction depends on the first class, I'm telling you. It should be very clear because we'll be dealing with we'll be starting parallelism concept tomorrow. And this concept will mess you up completely if you study anything in the morning. So please do not study anything in the morning. Come with a very free mind. Whatever you can study, study today. That's it. But it will be a very, very important class, I'm telling you. So I'm making it very clear, don't study anything in the morning. Today by evening, I'll be sending you the entire emails for today's class. Like today, whatever the video, the entire class is recorded. So you will have the recording of all the classes so that whenever you have any problem, just go and look into it. So you will have all the videos of your class as well available to you. So I'll send you the mail by evening today. Is that okay? So tomorrow class, the link remains the same. The link remains the same, absolutely same. So let's join at the same time. We'll start at 10:30 sentence correction. So tomorrow we'll be starting class exactly at the same time, 10:30 sentence corrections. Wait for my email for the evening. I'll send you the entire email with whatever we have done today in the class. And let's meet tomorrow. Anyone, any problem, please tell me. I'm done with the class now for today. I'll stop the recording.